Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live reaction and player ratings live stream following Chelsea becoming champions of the world. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. What an awful game. Like literally all of the happiness that I had in my soul was robbed until Kai Havertz scored that penalty. Like I was literally just sad for the whole thing, except when Lukaku scored and until we conceded. Like it was so bad, but I don't care. Like I'm so like confused in emotion because I'm so happy, but I'm so... well, not sad anymore, but I was so sad earlier that it was like, what is going on? This is mad. This is absolutely mad. Kai Havertz, what a man. He's the best on earth, you know. He's not only won us the Champions League, he's also won us the Club World Cup. But honestly, I'm very pleased. In hindsight now, while everything was going on, I was very displeased. But, you know, here we are. Oh, my days. Jem, your reactions, same as mine, or... you're not quite as elated as myself. Like honestly, I really wanted to win this thing.
I really wanted a bit. At the same time, my God, do we make things hard? We never make anything easy, I swear. And it was up and down, and it got to extra time. I'm sitting there with like just like what's going on. I just didn't know. The performance for me was just so. I know we're going to get into it. Was just so, really for a final. But you know, Kai Havertz stepping up. You know, stepping up in a big game, winning another trophy as well. People can't question him on that. Stepping up to take a penalty shows big guts, especially in a game like that. Especially when none of our forwards, I don't think any of our forwards, maybe other than Lukaku, might have actually stepped up and took that pen. He took it off Aspie, he put it on the spot, and my God, what a finish it was as well. I don't think any goalie in world football would have saved that penalty as well. So yeah, I'm really happy, man. We've won it all. We've won it all. I've seen my team win everything. So I'm a very satisfied man right now.
Honestly, we're all very, very satisfied fans right now. Like, you know, obviously we are fully aware as Chelsea fans that we're incredibly privileged compared to fans that support slightly lesser clubs. Like, no disrespect to them in that sense, but 99% of all fans in world football will never experience what we've experienced in the last 20 years with Chelsea. Like, it's genuinely crazy. And I think as much as we're going to criticize some of the players, as much as we're going to criticize the performance, we need to appreciate that. Like, we really need to appreciate that. Like, I was talking to Clutch about this the other day or yesterday when we was speaking about like Pulisic, and I'm like, well, if Pulisic leaves, depending on where he goes, he might never play a final again after this. I'm not saying this because Pulisic is bad or anything, but because some clubs just don't make finals. Like, they just don't. Like, there's not a guarantee you make finals and win things. It just doesn't just happen. Obviously, we're Chelsea fans. Sure, some people were reeled into that by the success, you know, to some extent myself as well, I guess, because, you know, when I first heard of Chelsea was in the Champions League. Obviously, if there wasn't success before that and money before that, we wouldn't have got that far, even though it was in 2005. But, you know, what can I do? The first I've heard of it. So that goes for all of us, but we are incredibly privileged. We were incredibly privileged, though, to watch pretty much all of those 120 minutes, aside from literally 2 moments. Because everything, let's say 3 moments. 2 moments in which we scored, and when Thiago Silva decided to have a long shot, I was like, oh, is it going in? But otherwise, this was pretty damn awful. But Clutch, how do you feel? Are you as elated as myself? Has the trophy lift helped you over the depression of the performance?
You know, I never really get nervous in these kind of games. I always just... the blood starts pumping towards like when we get into extra time. That's when I start like really feeling it. I think there were a couple players out there that were up for a task today. I do think a lot of our forwards were not until their moments of brilliance. But you know, I mean, that's just how these things go. Sometimes that's how games go. I sat here yesterday and I said, this is the kind of games that we seem to do, is we seem to scrape out wins. And you know what? In games where you can win a trophy, I'm okay with scraping out wins because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you win tournaments like this, is you scrape out wins. And, you know, when it went to extra time, that's when it starts taking the mental side of the game for these players. So, for me, I enjoyed the game. Was it the greatest performances? No. But everything's worth it once you see that trophy being lifted and you finally get Aspie, who has won everything that he could possibly win here. So, big up to Aspie. Congratulations to the captain.
Very well, very good point. Congratulations to Aspie himself. Like, if there was more space on the thumbnail to like put extra things, his name alongside, you know, just winning everything now, or because of winning everything now, would have made the thumbnail. Not quite got there, but Big up Aspie. Every single trophy he competed for at Chelsea Football Club, the guy won. Every single one of them. You know, I'm not even going to try to name them all because I'm going to forget one. But, you know, also I'm not 1,000,000% sure if he actually won the Community Shield or not. So, you know, but let's not mention that to anybody in case he didn't. He probably did. But I can't remember the last time I won a Community Shield. I swear every time we play that competition, we lose it. So, you know, anyway, it is what it is. Pice, thank you. Thank you for joining us. You know what we are, mate? Champions of the bloody world. I mean, we can't play football for shit, but, you know, at least today. But we are champions of the world in the sport of football. It makes it almost an extra great achievement because somehow we're not good and we still win everything. How bloody brilliant is that?
Yeah, I'm so gassed in the end, bro. Thank God we got there in the end. I really thought we was going to lose that when it went to extra time. Not going to lie, I just thought, you know, Palmeiras, especially with the blocks they were getting in every time we try and attack, every clearance, looked like it was going to be their day. But yeah, Chelsea come through again. Kai Havertz comes through again with a penalty. Looked like he confirmed as well that Lukaku's second. So it would have been Lukaku if he was still on the pitch. Yeah, just crazy. Like Aspie as well, like to win that penalty, like it had to be him, right? Like it was too much of a story for it not to be him who won the penalty. I thought he was actually going to take it as well. I was like, this is going to be a madness if he scores this. Yeah, I'm just, I'm happy. I'm still a bit frustrated with the game, obviously, but I'm happy we got the trophy, bro. And yeah, bring it back to London.
Honestly, like I'm so pleased. Just got that trophy. I mean, like I said, I've told the anecdote a couple of times of when we lost it in 2012. I'm just so happy that we finally won it. And like we can talk about penalty decisions and we'll get about referee and stuff. We'll get to that later. But like when Palmeiras were awarded a penalty and then they scored it, and I was like, would Kepa have saved it? You know, like we said in the FA Cup final, Mendy would have saved Tielemans' goal. Would it have been sat here, Kepa would have saved the penalty. Like, I just didn't want this negativity, and it just kept going. And then bloody no one knew was the extra time or not. Like, it was all just a mess, a whole mess. The substitutions were an absolute madness, quite frankly, for the most part. Like, what was going on with our subs today? I have no idea. But in the end, we came through. You know, won a penalty. To be honest, you want me to be perfectly honest with you? I think it's super harsh penalty. Like, Aspie shoots from like 1.5 meters away, if that. The guy, like, obviously basically shooting the guy in the face. The guy obviously turns away and hits his arm. So, you know, if we were being like honest and not go by rules, I'm like super harsh because what the fuck's he meant to do about it? But obviously the same goes for Thiago Silva. What the flip's he meant to do about his arm touching the ball when he has the arm on the guy's shoulder and the guy jumps and pushes it into the ball? So a bit unfortunate, but you know, we'll take it. We'll have to bloody take it because we get so unlucky so often. Like the fact that just as we won that penalty, just as we went 1-0 up and we're actually started to play a little bit better and were potentially on the verge of getting a second goal, they get a penalty and it ruins everything. Like our whole vibe was gone, our rhythm was gone, our momentum was gone. Like we were awful, like awful. Like it just came at the worst possible time. But hey, at least things turn around. What blind referee? How on earth did he not straight away send that guy off at the last minute? Like we had, like, also it's a final, so his red card doesn't count for anything as far as I'm aware. So why did he have to go to VAR to send the guy off? It's so pointless. But anyway, that's ridiculous. We'll obviously talk about everything in more detail in a little bit. But what I first and foremost want, and I'll start with you, Jen. What was your reaction to the lineup when it came out? Because I was a bit confused. I can't lie with you.
Surprised me actually, because I actually thought it'd be, even though I predicted him to play the free system, I actually predicted Mendy to be in goal as well. A lot of people thought Kepa would be given the opportunity. I do think it was a slight harsh one for him, but it surprised me in the element of that. I thought we would play a lot more defensive. I honestly thought Alonso would have played. I'm not saying Alonso is the greatest, but you know, he's, when you think about that position, that is his position at the end of the day. And then you think of Aspie, who did play. For me, it just looked very offensive. And I actually, to be honest, I didn't mind it. I had a bit of a question mark on how Cullen would have turned up in this game. And to be honest, I know when to get to him later, I don't think he was that great. But yeah, for me, it was no Jorginho as well. You know, that was a bit of a weird one. He went for Kante and Kovacic, like everything that. The way he set up and to play this game told me that we were going to go and take it to him. Like literally, it was a setup to go, right, we're going to dominate this game. We're going to control the game. We're going to be, press high, win the ball. we've got some players on the pitch that are offensively very good, not so in the defensive aspect. But I don't know. It was a bit weird. It was confusing in the essence of like how the game went on and how we actually played. When I think about the players that are actually set up to play, it didn't kind of, for me, look like a performance that I would have expected looking at that formation and the players that are playing. But yeah, it's it is what it is, isn't it? And Tuchel always seems to surprise us, doesn't he, in these things?
He definitely does always surprise us, that's for sure. Like, it's honestly, I mean, you mentioned a couple of things there. For me, Ziyech being dropped, incredibly unfair. Like, he's been by far our best attacker for weeks, right? For multiple games in a row, including the last one. Even though he didn't get a goal involved in the last one, he was still our best attacker by some distance, in my opinion. For me, the fact that we played, in my opinion, I know Pice disagrees with this, but in my opinion, played absolutely awfully, arguably not as bad as today, but close. In the second half against Al Hilal, and we played with the midfield two of Kovacic and Kante. And on the back of that awful second half, we decided to pick that midfield two again. To me, mind-boggling. Why would you pick a two that was awful 2 days ago and play them again? Like, why would you do that? It baffles me. Honestly, baffles me. Callum at left wing back, I didn't mind it, to be honest. Like, none of us really want to see Alonso. I don't think Malang Sarr should be playing left wing back because, well, he's a centre back. How the fuck would he give the kid a little bit of time to learn where to be and when to be, where we're learning a completely new position, right? Regardless of the fact that he's not suited to it in the first place with his height and, strong, it's not quite ideal for a left wing back. But I didn't understand it. I didn't really understand the formation. Like, a lot of it was a bit confusing, but at the same time, hey, in the end, it worked out. But I still think Tuchel got the lineup wrong, if I'm being perfectly honest. Pice, let me ask you, in hindsight now, obviously we were talking about the lineup earlier, but in hindsight, do you think the lineup was wrong? Or do you think in hindsight, well, we won, so the lineup was right?
I mean, we was having a little discussion earlier. Like, the thing is, for me, lineups are so like, to be honest, I just don't care what the lineup is anymore. Like, because I don't know what we're going to get from each player. Like, you could have changed the front three around, and it still could have been, crap. We could have been calling for certain other players, like people like Ziyech. Everyone was having a go at Tuchel on the timeline on Twitter, saying, "Oh, where's Ziyech? Where's Ziyech?" He wasn't great when he came on. Like, you know what I mean? We don't know when. We don't know when and like where and how we're going to get these good performances out of these players yet. We're still building. But the fact is we're grinding trophies, and that's the most important thing when they do come around is we grind trophies. We need to do it again in the Carabao Cup final, which I think actually the Carabao Cup final probably suits us a bit better because we're underdogs, but most neutrals will probably think Liverpool win that. But Chelsea we just keep grinding away. Like, doesn't really matter what the lineup is to me. It's a final. Certain things went wrong in the game, but if you bring other players on, doesn't mean to say that they're going to do better. Or if we started someone else, like it's so like, what was the phrase I used earlier? Like, it's so, I don't. What is the phrase for it? Like, you know what I mean? You know the point I'm getting at. Like, I just don't.
I know the point you're getting at, but I'm not sure which phrase you're looking for.
It's like. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will come to me. Yeah.
No, fair. It's like, in a way, I see what you mean. At the same time, I will also say, I don't think it's as easy to say, oh, well, Ziyech came on and he wasn't great. Well, like, there's a lot of players that are good at coming on and not good at coming on and play. Like, he has shown 3, 4, 5 games in a row. He was good at starting. So start him. I mean, obviously, it was very unfortunate that Mason Mount had to be subbed off injured very early into the game. At the time, I thought, well, as much as I don't want Mount to have to come off, we were so bad. If anything, I was happy that we were forced into a change because we weren't never going to make a change otherwise that quickly. So it was at least something. Pulisic brought some spark for 5 minutes, maybe 7, but that was then kind of it as well, if I'm being totally honest. But I still think Tuchel got it wrong, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think the game plan didn't work at all, like one bit. And I think the lineup wasn't quite it either. But hey, in the end, we won. And I'd be intrigued to hear later what Tuchel has to say about the whole thing. Because, yeah, like I said, we really need to fix up. Like, we're so slow. Like, I tweeted, like, it looks like it's 11 slots on the pitch. Like, when was the last time you remember Chelsea playing this slow? Like, I swear, even under Jose, when we were 16th in the Premier League table, we weren't this bad. Like, honestly, like the last 3 games was so bad. Like Plymouth, Al Hilal, and today, it was so bad. Honestly, I'm like, oh my bloody local club will beat Chelsea. We are awful, but we keep winning. So fair enough, I suppose. Clutch, let me go to you. Lineup: shocked, surprised, or actually like, oh well, fair enough, go for it.
I mean, yeah, there was a couple players. I mean, Cho starting, after I thought about it, I understand it a little bit. You want that pace on the sides to kind of deal with their pace. So I understand it. Ziyech not starting really surprises me, but are you going to drop Havertz? Probably not. And Mount's going to come back in. Mount's pretty much a must for these kind of games. So that means you'd have to drop Lukaku, and we know how that's going to go. And so unfortunate for Ziyech, who's been our best player over the last couple games. Had to go to the bench. But, it shows why I'm not paid millions to go and manage a team like Chelsea, because, I mean, the changes I thought were positive when they came through. I mean, I know you probably don't agree with this, but Pulisic was probably our best attacker today. Not by far, but the only one looking to do anything today.
He was by far, Clutch. He was by far our best attacker today.
Yeah, who's that? Who did you say? Pulisic.
Yeah, by far.
And if you even notice, he didn't even play in the right wing role. He played in the center.
I mean, I don't agree with by far, but yeah.
No, I think Havertz
was brilliant,
but that's my opinion. I think Havertz was good, personally. But we can talk about that a bit later.
But yeah, no, I think, I'm not a big fan of the midfield pairing. I think you got to have Jorginho and Kovacic or Jorginho and Conte, because Jorginho knows the role to sit and kind of wait. Doesn't really work when 2 players who want to go forward and want to run out of position. That just leaves a lot of space in the middle. But also you have Thiago Silva in the back and Rudiger as well. When you have those 2, especially, things are going to be secure back there. So I understand it.
I hear you. We have nearly, essentially, 400 people watching. So big up everybody that's tuned in. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Every new subscriber counts. And, if you don't want to watch this in the future, it doesn't matter. Just click the red subscribe button. Please do, okay? It helps me out. And smash the like button as well. That'd be fantastic. What do you guys want to talk about? Because obviously we're here to do player ratings, but I'm not sure if I want to start with player ratings, if I want to kind of go through the game a little bit without looking at individuals, because I want to look at the greater picture a little bit rather than talking about a certain subject while speaking about a player, because I don't think any of our problems today stem from 1 or 2 individuals. I think it's like a whole problem that we have right now. And yeah, it could change. And yesterday I was much more positive about it. And I was sat here like, yeah, it's just our winter slump. We'll get better. Don't worry about it. But bro, we were, like I said, so damn slow. Like, I know Rudiger got man of the match. And am I saying he was bad? No. Am I saying Thiago Silva was bad? No. Am I saying Christensen was bad? No. But Thiago Silva basically had to do the job of the midfield, because Kovacic and Kante, all they did was when they received the ball, pass it back to Thiago Silva. Obviously, further forward on the pitch, they tried to run with it and try to do things. But in terms of actually being a midfielder in a double pivot, they let the whole job, they let Thiago Silva do it in terms of in possession for the entire game. Like, they basically did nothing productive as a double pivot player. Neither of them. It was ridiculous. But Thiago Silva, I love him, and some of his balls weren't bad. But if we play a team that's that low and that comfortable in defending, please pass quicker, man. Like, please. And that doesn't just go for him. It goes for all of them. We pass it to Christensen, slow. Pass it to Rudiger, slow. Pass it to Aspi, slow. Pass it to Callum. To be honest, we barely even passed it to Callum. Like, he assisted the goal. I swear the guy felt like he had like 7 touches, if that. Like, honestly, felt like he never got the ball. And this is not even a criticism of Callum. I thought he was free pretty much all the time. For some reason, they just didn't give the ball to him. Don't know why. I have no idea. Kai Havertz was running around, but not like quick. Like, he was stood. They made 3 quick steps, waited for the ball. But behind him, the Palmeiras player was sprinting his arse off to make sure he covers him. So automatically blocked the passing lane for Thiago Silva to Havertz. The same happened with Mason Mount. The same happened with Lukaku. Like, I just don't understand. And then when Pulisic came on, like I said, for 10 minutes, it was extra good. And then he kind of became one of the rest, if I'm being perfectly honest, with a couple of moments, obviously, that were good, is my thoughts, but we'll get to those individuals later. I just don't understand why we play so slow. And this has nothing to do with formation. And, you know, excuse me, this formation doesn't suit these players and this formation doesn't suit those players. Bro, all of those players in every system are too slow. Every single one of them. Like the only one that's maybe a little bit different is Hakim Ziyech in the 4-3-3 or 4-1-4-1 that looked like a player that actually has a brain that worked quickly enough to play football at a high level. And even his ball that got the guy sent off late on for Kai Havertz, it was the only good pass we played all night. Like, name me one other good pass. And I know, by the way, Mohammed, I'm not saying Tuchel got everything wrong. I'm just saying he got a few things wrong. And I know I sound super, super negative right now, but like, what if you watch the game? Like, we were so bad. It honestly mind-boggled me quite how bad we were. It's shocking. Absolutely shocking. Jem, I'll go back around to you. Do you see what I mean? Do you think I'm too harsh?
100%. The biggest thing that, you know what it is, on social media, it's easy for people to talk about their player agendas and blame players. And I do think players are partly to blame with it, don't get me wrong. But I'm starting to think, is it the orders that they're being given on the pitch? Because we are so predictable with the ball. I can see what we're going to do before we do it. And like, we hold the ball too long. When our forwards do move, they don't make a movement to go past the defense. They go towards the defense. And it's like, that ball is going to be passed to him. It's like, it's weird. Like, I can just sit there and I can literally predict how we're going to get forward with this ball. Literally, I can just sit there and go, right, we're going to get the ball at the back. It's going to go into midfield. They're not going to turn around and play it forward. So they're either going to go to the wing backs. The wing backs are going to try and look forward to make that pass. And then it depends if one of the forwards are coming deep to pick the ball up. Like, it's too fucking slow. It's too slow, Laurenz. And it's starting to really annoy me because I don't get how we can have all of this talent of forwards, and people say it's the chemistry thing. And I to be fair, a couple months back, I did think it was just a whole thing about chemistry. I am starting to think now, is it what they're being asked to do? Are they being asked to keep the ball rather than go and have that killer instinct? We have no killer instinct. We go 1-0 up and we rely on our defense to basically win us games. Basically, we just say, look, our defense is that good, we're not going to concede. So if we just keep the ball, rather than try and break and get a second, we'll win this game. But that's not good. We're not always going to be able to rely upon that. And Man City, for example, they're a great example. Like, they get 1 goal, they want 2. They get 2, they want 3. But, their whole system and philosophy of the way that they play is to just keep scoring. Keep scoring, doesn't matter what the score is. And we just don't do that. And our patterns of play are predictable. Our forwards sometimes just look confused whether they should run behind or come deep. And sometimes they both run into the same spaces, rather than go out wide, and then they're like next to each other. And like it does. I do think it's partly to do with the 3 thing as well. I like the 4. Don't get me wrong, because I think if you look in the extra time onwards, the 4 we looked more expansive. We looked a little bit better moving forward with the ball. But I think with the 3, the biggest issue is that we rely so heavily on our wing backs. And when your wing backs are just not that they're not James and they're not Chilwell, I think we just don't really know how to create properly. And if Kovacic ain't doing it, we know Kante's not going to consistently. If Jorginho's on the pitch, he's not going to consistently play it forward. He's just going to control the ball and keep passing it. And yes, it can be a personal thing. Don't get me wrong. We could maybe need 1 or 2 or 3 players to maybe get this system to really kick on and create more in different areas. But at the moment, we don't do that. We just generally don't do that. And I do think Tuchel tells them to just keep the ball. It's the way I see it. Like, I don't get it sometimes. Like, you're on a break. You got 3 or 4 people.
Do I think that's what he says? No, but I completely agree that that's what he looks like. But I don't have another explanation.
When Callum Hudson-Odoi is coming out, when Callum Hudson-Odoi is coming out on social media and saying we're being told to keep the ball, literally that was.
I miss too many things these days. I'm telling you.
Yeah. He was pretty much saying he was basically talking about where he likes to play positionally, but he was also saying that we were asked to sort of keep the ball more often, which tells me that they're not maybe allowed to be as direct as maybe other managers would be potentially. I don't know. I don't know. I find it a little bit all confusing, to be honest.
It's confusing to me as well. And I know obviously people got a bit hyped when we played the back 4 a couple of games, and we looked better than in the back 3 in the last 2 games, that's for sure. But did we look great? No. Like in the back 4, you can almost more blame the forwards. While I think in this system, I don't even personally blame the forwards for everything, because when I think about how many times did we give the ball to the forwards in any useful positions, and that doesn't just include Lukaku, that includes all three of them. Like if you give them the ball 25, 30 yards away from goal with 6, 7 opponents in front of them, if you're not Hazard or Messi or maybe Neymar, you're not going to do anything. Like it doesn't matter. Like no Salah is, no Mbappe is, no Lukaku is, no Haaland is, no Lewandowski is. Like none of them is going to do anything. So you need to, as a team, bring the ball to these players in useful positions. I'm not saying only positions where you can shoot from, but not where you have 7 or 8 players to be. Like you need to do a little bit more because we passed it around at the back. They had no intention of pressing us whatsoever. So we passed it around between the back three, no problem. Then Thiago Silva plays 17 1-2s with Kovacic and Kante. A couple of times we played out to Aspi, who also plays it back. And then Hudson-Odoi was basically unused by everybody today, even though he's the one that was most likely to create anything outside of, well, I think create actually more than Pulisic in terms of that. But obviously he was hauled off. Do I think he was good? No. And was his execution of trying to do something good? No, it wasn't. But at least he tried. The other ones didn't even get into areas to try. Again, not completely their fault that they didn't get into those areas, but he was at least in the position to play a useful cross. Whether the cross was always useful or not, no, it wasn't. But at least he was there where he could have done it. In the areas where Havertz, Mount, and Pulisic received the ball, you couldn't even cross the ball from there. Like, what's the like? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's baffling to me. Pice, obviously, you in the last game already, and this time also, you seemed a little bit less kind of annoyed by how bad or slow we were, in at least my and Jem's opinion. Do you see what we're saying, or do you disagree completely?
Wait, when was I less annoyed?
After the last game, you thought we weren't as bad as I thought we were.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just kind of, I mean, I did put that down to a lot of it being the first game and, you know, new climate and all that. But this game, definitely, we did move the ball so slowly. Looked like we was out of ideas so much during the game. You know, God bless his soul. I love Thiago Silva, but there was so many runs being made, so many opportunities to play the ball into Lukaku's feet. He just kept the ball too long. So many others did it as well. But that's one player I noticed mainly doing it. And
can I throw something in there? Because just so we stay on that topic. While I agree with that, isn't it ridiculous to ask the central centre back, to essentially play 50, 60-yard balls and then blame him for those balls not coming? That's what I meant when I texted you earlier and what I said earlier, when I think the game plan was all wrong. You can't expect any player to play consistently good 50, 60-yard passes and rely on that as your point of creation. You just can't do it.
No, we're talking about the balls into the middle of the park as well. We're not just talking about 50, 60-yard balls. We're talking about simple passes, one touch moving the ball into the midfield quickly. The midfield wasn't good.
You said runs to, like Lukaku made runs and balls to him. That's what I meant. Obviously, in general, I agree. I just meant for the Lukaku run.
Yeah, like he could have done a lot better is what I'm saying. But so could have many other players. I was just bringing a point up. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like other players that play bad, I mean, Kante was absolutely horrendous today. I'm sorry, he was absolutely atrocious. I think just there were so many players that just didn't impress me. I'm not gonna lie, but to be honest with you, like even Hudson-Odoi was awful apart from the assist. He really was. He wasn't good. He could hardly beat his man. He was very, very bad on the ball. But you know what? He got the assist. Lukaku got the goal. I didn't even think Havertz was really that good either. Like I don't think anyone was really that good apart from Pulisic who came on. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is a positive stream. We've won the Club World Cup, and yeah, we move. We keep grinding these trophies, bro, and hopefully, you know, with time, we'll see more consistent improvements, especially in the league. But this does seem a common theme, which, you know, sort of in games where teams will sit back against us, we can't really do anything. Maybe I should be a bit more positive about the Carabao Cup final, because at least I know Liverpool won't sit back. Maybe I should be more positive about that than this one. But yeah, we've won another trophy, bro. Like, this is what Chelsea do. We find ways to win. We get stuff like penalties, corner headers. You know, like we basically made our name on this. You know what I mean? Late winners and grinding results and grinding trophies and winning when you don't play well. That's what Chelsea was all about at certain points over the last few years. So yeah, we just have to move on from this performance overall and just take the trophy, take the good moments from it, And then hopefully by the time we play Liverpool, when there's another trophy up for grabs, we'll see a whole lot better performance. And also we'll have our fans in Wembley as well. I know there was fans there, but that was a very hostile atmosphere today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hopefully Wembley just, home soil gives them a bit more juice in them. But today was far too sloppy, far too slow. And again, like I said to you, Laurenz, actually against who did we play? Al Hilal. I said, like, this feels like a pre-season game. In extra time, it felt like a pre-season game still. It didn't, like, the only time it felt like a non-pre-season game was when Palmeiras actually scored. Like, I was thinking, holy shit, this actually feels like a final now. But apart from that, I was like, damn, like, again, felt like a bit like Baku. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sort of final. It
like, I'm really not going to slate Lukaku today. Trust me, people, I really won't. But why? Like, he scored a goal in the final. He basically didn't celebrate. Like, whatever the reasons to him for that are, and it's great that he does his job and scored. That's what I've been asking for the last few weeks. And in the last 2 games, I got that because he scored. Good. But the whole vibe is just off. Like, you scored in the final and you didn't properly celebrate. Like, Aspie was going mental. Kai Baheen was going mental, trying to hug him. And he was like, he in the end gave like the big up finger to like Callum. So that is good. It's not like it's a problem between the players. But he didn't seem happy. And whatever those reasons are, whether those are personal reasons or professional reasons why he's not happy, but it's a problem. Like, when you don't even celebrate scoring in the final, that's what makes it feel like a preseason game. Do you know what I mean?
Laurenz, can I just cut you off there? There is a picture where Lukaku is very, very happy at full time. So I think we can put
No. I believe that he's happy in just that, in that moment. That's what, in my opinion, also made it feel like a preseason game because he didn't even celebrate.
No, see, I thought that about his goal against Al Hilal. I thought that, but I forgot to bring it up. But I didn't feel it so much today. But I guess that's your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, like I said, obviously everyone has their own opinion. But when I watched, I was like, Aspie was so excited, and everyone was so excited. Just Rom wasn't like, okay. It was strange to me. And Kai took his whole shirt off when he celebrated. Like, that's what I want to see when you're scoring a fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want everybody to be gassed. And Inti was going and lifting corner flags, hanging his shirt up on it and shit. Like, iconic celebrations, essentially. He did iconic celebrations at Chelsea already with his whole arm stretched out in front of the Matthew Harding and stuff. So, but it's weird. It's weird. Clutch, I haven't asked you in a hot minute. What do you think about everything that myself and Jem initially, and then obviously Pius' reaction as well? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I agree with Pius. I think, no, I don't like the way this game's going, and I've made my feelings about the back three very clear, how I think it hinders our forwards going, or hinders our attackers going forward, because, I mean, you're just, like you said, you're expecting 1 or 2 players to take on an army and beat them like we still have Eden Hazard here. We don't have any of those types of players. And unfortunately, the only one who's going to beat multiple people is Cho and Pulisic, and they've been struggling. So, and even they're not going to beat 5 or 6 players. It's just not going to happen. That's why I've been advocating so hard for that back four, even though that requires putting Balangsar at left back. I know this is a final, and I understand, like, in a final you kind of want to play a little bit more defensively, and you want to secure things rather than get caught on a counter, as how Palmeiras likes to play, and they did catch us on a counter a couple of times. But I think you are in finals. This is the kind of the way you want to win. If you don't, how am I supposed to phrase this? You want to win at all costs, and if you got to scrape it out, I think that's a good thing. I think that shows grit for this team. So for me, I think I agree with a lot of what Pius says. So we'll see come the Carabao Cup final. That's when we're going to start seeing other mentalities. But for now, I mean, we won a trophy. So, I mean, I can't judge too hard. I mean, it seems like we ended up doing what we had to do. So if we got to scrape it out to win at the end of the day, hey, I'm satisfied with that.
It is true. And I also wanted to make that in terms of reaction to what Pius said. In cups, this works. And even during the game, I know, Pius, you said at the moment, I'm sure it was just a, heat of the moment thing to say, but still, like, you didn't feel like we're going to win it. I never really had that fear, to be honest. Even if we go to pens, I presume Kepa would have come on, I always back us, it's fine. So, like, in cup competition, then I'm also still confident that we're going to, or somewhat confident at least, that we're going to win the Carabao Cup final. But at some point, can we win the league? And playing like this, we're never going to win the league. Like, we need to get that straight out of our heads. Yeah, in one of final games and cup knockout games, great. We're good at those. We know that. But we also want to win the league at some point. So unless we don't want to win the league, then we don't need to work on anything. It's fine. Just keep going keep doing what we're doing. But if we ever do want to win the league, we need to start working on it at some point, and we need to start finding solutions to these problems.
Laurenz, can I just say, you know what's crazy is everyone's talking about we need to win the league, we need to win the league. Can we just remember Tuchel's been here just over 1 year?
No, of course, but
it's absolutely insane.
Chelsea need to do it at some point.
No, I 100% agree, but how many years did it take Klopp to win? You know what I mean? How many years did it take Pep to win? Not as long for Pep, but still, Pep had to have so much investment. And yeah, Tuchel will get investment. I just hope it's the right investment and the investment he wants. Because we can win the league. We was literally neck and neck with City before we got injured. And then we had loads of shitty draws and then it's gone. The Premier League's such a fine margin that, I still believe we can win it or there and thereabouts. We can properly challenge, but we need to give Tuchel time. It's insane to me that he's only been here 1 year and this is what we've achieved. It's crazy.
That is true. That is very, very true. I won't take this whole, it took Klopp so long for two reasons. Number one, I have higher standards than Liverpool. Number two, they had a much worse squad when Klopp took over than we did when Tuchel took over. Not even comparable. Look at Liverpool's starting 11 in Klopp's first game. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. The players
might be more coachable than these bunch of players, though.
Potentially, but we need to make sure we start. Half of our team are academy players. So if they're uncoachable, then we need to fix our academy. And the other half we signed. So, and the biggest problem so far is the one player Tuchel actually signed himself. So, swings and roundabouts. I get it. Like I said, I'm not here to make things too negative. It's just after Plymouth, all of you guys as well were we were awful. It's a knockout game all the same. Sure, it's a final, but if you don't win against Plymouth the ugly way we did, we can never get to an FA Cup final, which we can win in an ugly way. So, any cup game, you can win in an ugly way. But for Plymouth, people were not happy, and today they are. That, to me, is weird. Because today, to me, we were much worse today than we were against Plymouth. If we played against Plymouth how we did today, Plymouth would have slapped us. Absolutely slapped us. Plymouth was so much better than Palmeiras. In terms of their players, no, but in terms of how they set up, because Palmeiras, Tuchel explained it well pre-game, saying they're basically Brazilian Atletico Madrid, essentially, which is not wrong, because that's how they played. But they did it to such an extreme that it basically made it impossible for them to, really threaten us other than when they got a penalty, because otherwise, did they really threaten us? No. Either they were offside or it was very well defended by Christensen and Rudiger or Thiago Silva. But, hey, in the end, I'm happy we won the trophy. Shall we move on to player ratings? I'm not sure. Today we can actually start with Mendy because, you could either give him a 9, basically, I guess, or an NA, because he made 1 or 2 saves from open play. Did he not? I remember 1 or 2 very comfortable saves.
I never expected him to save the penalty anyway, so it was
no.
Even though he made 1 save, he's not.
He had a penalty. If you don't know where, and the less famous and known the opponent is, the less I expect the goalkeeper to save a penalty, especially in open play, because then with for penalty shootouts, you can save 1 in 5. In a penalty in game, you only have 1 chance. So you guess one way, you hope he goes there. And if he doesn't, well, he didn't. It's a different situation if you get your hand on it and you fail at keeping it out. That's a different discussion. But going wrong way, well, it happens. Some goalies are more lucky or see it better in the eyes. Some people don't. But shall we do Mendy? Jem, you were talking there already.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about Mendy, is he? It was mainly a spectator throughout the game. You could throw a 7, you could throw an 8, you could throw a 9. I don't care. Whatever you want. It's not a problem.
Fair enough. See, I was going to go 6 because he didn't really do anything, and I was
6,
going to go average.
yeah, 1, 6, 7, whatever. Yeah.
But maybe the other boys are going to go different. So I'm gonna have a 6 in there for now, but I'm happy to change it if someone makes good arguments. I'm yeah, fair enough. So Clutch, I'll ask you 6 for Mendy, or do you have any reasons to go higher or lower?
No, I don't think he had too much to do today. I'd probably go with a 6. Didn't do anything wrong. Couldn't save the penalty. That's not really his fault. I don't really expect him to do that. And I'm also not going to sit there and go, oh, that's why we should have started Kepa, because, I mean, in these kind of games, you still start Mendy. I was fully behind that. So I'd probably go with the 6 today.
Fair. And then, Pice, Mendy for you, 6 as well, or would you go something different?
Yeah, I'd go 6. Not too much to say, really. As you said, the penalty, really good penalty, to be fair. You can't really... it's funny when people, like, when someone scores a penalty and they go, oh, you didn't dive the right way. Like, shut up. It's like 50-50. You know what I mean? Like, unless you've got extensive research.
Not even that. Theoretically, you could go in the middle, so you only have a 30% chance.
Exactly, yeah. Like, but I just found that funny. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, for God's sake, Kepa would have saved it." It's like, shut up! Like, Kepa's better at penalties, but you don't know whether he's going to dive the fucking right.
Although
way
I will
not.
say, the side that
You know
the
what I
guy
mean?
scored on is Kepa's more favourite side to jump to. So you could argue maybe the likelihood would have been slightly bigger. But like you said, who knows whether Kepa goes that way again?
Bro, it's flip a coin for me. Like, seriously, like obviously there's psychological aspects, and to be fair, like Mendy, he started like dancing on his line, which actually, if I'm a penalty taker, I don't want to be facing that, because that would put me off, him dancing all around the line and stuff. But yeah, I mean, 6. Let's go 6. It was not like there wasn't a standout save. He done well on a few crosses and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the main sort of reason why they didn't really get the counter attacks through as much was because of our defenders. So yeah.
There you go. Let's do Thiago Silva next. Obviously, gave away the penalty. Not much he can do about it, but I still think it's I think it's a penalty. It is by the rules a penalty. If you think it shouldn't be a penalty, then don't ever go at the ref, but at the rule makers in this particular case, because unfortunately the rules say it is a penalty. What's the ref gonna do? Can't all of a sudden like not apply the rules? Do you know what I mean? It's like if you speed past a policeman, you're like, oh, come on, I didn't speed, but you did speed. Do you know what I mean? Like you sped, so you're gonna get penalized. But I will give him extra credit and almost at least 1+ rating, because he essentially played centre back and midfield today, because he had to do the job of a playmaker and the defender. So for that reason, albeit giving a penalty away, I'm going to go 7. By the way, in terms of performances, this is high, right? I'm not going to go much higher than a 7 today. Maybe the other boys will, but I won't. But yeah, I'll go 7 from my end. And Pice, I'll go flip it around to you this time first. 7 for you. Despite giving a penalty away, would you like to go higher or lower?
See, from what I said earlier, like the ball progression was just not like Thiago Silva for me today. I still think he was, because he was in the middle. Like, I don't know whether it's just I noticed it more, but he had the ball an awful lot, and he was like, I was counting like 5 seconds before he would pass the ball. And I think when you're trying to build from the back, like that's a problem. And usually his ball progression is really good. So I don't understand. Like, I don't understand what was wrong. Obviously, he gave the penalty away, like, but I love him, like I really do. But that can't go at my overall love for Silva can't go into an individual rating. So I'm gonna go with 6.5.
Fair. I do see what you're saying in a way, but in a sense, I almost don't want to blame him for that, because it's not supposed to be his job. It's supposed to be the midfielder's job, and we made it his job, even though it shouldn't be his job. But I hear you. Clutch, go with you next. What do you reckon? 6.5, 7? Would you go as low as a 6, maybe?
I mean, in a way, I can't really say that we haven't done this before. Thiago Silva's played that Jorginho role with the same midfield before.
Yep.
So it's not like he can't. Yeah, it's not like he doesn't know. It's again, you're asking somebody to play further back, and I didn't see too many forwards making runs. I seen Lukaku quite a bit. I was paying a little bit more attention to him today. I seen him come and try to put his back to goal and try to get a lot of hold-up play balls. Never seemed to hold off the defender within that first 10 minutes. I know Thiago Silva was playing a couple roles. I'd probably go with Pius' 6.5 for him.
Fair dues. And then, Jem, what do you think?
I think we have a serious problem if we actually expect our defenders to run into midfield and start playing balls all the time for our forwards to create. To be honest, I don't think... As much as I hear what Pies is saying, I'll do to a degree. Again, it's not his game. I know you can argue that he has done it in the past, but what's the point of having midfielders midfielders are meant to be
so we don't get mixed up. We're not asking him to step into midfield and progress the ball. We're asking him to stay in his position and progress the ball to the midfielders, so then they can get the ball forward. It's a team job.
But if you say that, then you can't criticize him for that, Bakov and Kante, because they did fuck all.
That's what I was about to say. If you're going to then pass it to two people that are going to pass it back to you, then
I agree. I'm not saying Kante and Kovacic were good at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying all around it was a bad job. Like that, from that little almost like a, I don't know what the fuck that shape is, but from Silva to Kovacic to like Kante, even like Mount when he was on, I don't know what he was wrong with him. I guess he had an injury, but there were so many problems. But I just think because Silva was in the central part of the defense, he had the ball just so much, and then it wasn't just me saying it. I saw a lot of people saying it.
No, I've seen it. You're right. You're
100% right by saying it. There's nothing wrong with what you're saying.
There's nothing wrong with what you're saying. It's just for me, I just don't expect, even though he was, you got to think to yourself, did they set up for Silva to have more of the ball anyway? Was that their game plan? Because for me, when you look at Palmeiras, they didn't really come forward. They just sat back and they just
blocked passes.
If you watch carefully, they didn't press any of our defenders. That's why they had so much time on the ball. They were literally just walking. They were like, "Go on, you can have it. We're not worried about you guys knocking balls over the top because we've got 5 at the back of midfield that's sitting in front of us. There's it's hard to find space in between, even though there was moments where Havertz sort of find it. But I don't know. I think it was just one of them games. For me, I'd say a 7 for Thiago Silva, even with the handball, because even with the handball, I just think it's one of them things. It happens, doesn't it? So what can you do?
Fair dues. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, if you've been about for a while, when we are split in terms of like now 2 6.5s and 2 7s, we need the chat's help to decide which rating we actually do go for on screen. So please, everybody, put your rating for Thiago Silva in the chat. As I've explained previously, if you go lower than 6.5, it will count as 6.5. If you go higher than 7, it will just count as a 7. And also, don't try to bamboozle me by, putting your rating in a number of times. I will see it. You will not be able to bamboozle me. But I've seen 2 7 so far. Let's see. Oh, an 8. Again, fair enough, but it's basically a 7. So 3 7 so far. Let's see what we get. Oh, another 7, another 7, another 7. I think the 7's winning. Unfortunately for Pisa and Glutch, I think the 7 will win. But I guess people are just hyped because we won the trophy. And in a way, can't hold it against them. So what do we have to do, boys? We have to just make sure we don't let the chat decide everything, because otherwise we'll be here with way too high ratings again. Let me just check. Have I really seen any 6.5 since then? 1, 2. That's it. 2 6.5s, 3 6.5s. Everything else was 7 or higher. What can I see here? I agree with what Jem said here in the private chat. Just ignore it. Pointless, because it gives, makes it more entertaining for him to keep saying things.
Does it all the time to me as well, all the time. So just leave it.
Yeah, there you go. Let's do Andreas Christensen. Obviously, he was subbed off in the end for Malong Sarr. Could debate whether that's harsh or not. I again thought until that point he was pretty good, in all honesty. I still think sometimes, as much no criticism at Aspie, I mean, he won us the decisive penalty, so big up Aspie. Still think, like, if you want to bring Sarr on and change things, I think Christensen wouldn't do that much worse of a job as a wing-back than Aspie would, personally. I think he's got the pace. He's arguably technically better, so might as well go for it. But, hey, he was the one who was subbed off. But did I think he was bad until then? No, I think he did well with a couple of counter-attacks. Mind you, Palmeiras' counter-attacks, a lot of them were very desperate. And whenever they did go through to actually have a chance, it was usually a bit of us getting unlucky in terms of where the ball bounced from tackles. But yeah, just because he didn't have as much of a job to do as Thiago Silva, I'm going to go 6.5. But in the grand scheme of things, I thought he was pretty much the same. But I'm just, like I said earlier already, I'm going to push Silva's rating in my head just because he had the job of 2 positions to do, and Christensen only had the job of 1. So yeah, I'll go 6.5 for him. But Clutch, I'll go first with you this time round. 6.5 for you too high, considering you wanted to give Thiago Silva a 6.5, or do you think it's fair to give them the same in your head, I guess?
Yeah, I'd probably go with the 6. I do think Thiago Silva was the better defender today. Not too much to blame for Christensen. It's just, I think Thiago Silva is overall a better defender today. And how do I want to say this? He's not going to be, I think he would be the lowest of the defenders. I don't think he was bad, but I don't think he was the best out of the defenders.
Fair. Jim? What do you think?
Well, every time I talk about this guy, I get told I've got an agenda. So exactly, it's not going to be a 10 out of 10. But no, I think he was a 6 or a 6.5. I actually don't think he was too bad today. I think he was good against Al Hilal as well, to be honest. Today, I thought he'd done his job. He's got a lot of pace, hasn't he? He's got a lot of pace, actually. He had to recover a couple of times behind because is it Duda, the winger that was playing for them? He was quick, that one, I tell you. He was flying up and down the wing.
He is quick, yeah. He was Pulisic before all his injuries.
Yeah, but very good with the ball at his feet as well, Very, very, very good. But yeah, no, for me, 6.5 for Christensen.
Bro, I'm going to have to make you make a decision here.
I've got a pick. Oh, sorry. Just to wind people up, 6. There you go.
There you go, fair play. One question I'll raise, and obviously if it's not that important, so I'll just ask it to Chem and then Pies when it's his turn. Considering we are very certain or pretty certain that Christensen is going to leave in the summer, do you also find it a bit strange that he's getting played over Chalobah? Like, if we know Christensen is most likely leaving, is there really that much of a difference in quality that you might as well not just play Chalobah, the guy that's going to stay? Because if you play him, he's going to get better. So by the time he plays next season, he's going to be better. I find that strange. Do you know what I mean, Jem?
Yeah, I hear you. I do. And
unless they think he's going to stay still, then fair enough, obviously.
Chalobah's, people don't like to hear it again, but I thought Chalobah kind of was benching Christensen for a while, if you remember, for a period under Tuchel. So, it's a little bit, it's a little bit weird. It might be maybe the injury. I don't know. Maybe I know maybe it's been a while. Maybe they don't want to rush him back in because they're just worried that he might, he's not 100% fit. Some people saying he's not 100% fit. Maybe he just isn't fully ready to play in that heat in Abu Dhabi. I don't know. But yeah, look, Christensen is, I think he's going to leave. And I think Trevor Chalobah is definitely the future of this football club. I think he'll stay. And yeah, I think we should be playing him, but it's what it is, isn't it? Literally, it is what it is.
Yeah, fair. I mean, obviously, yeah, it could well be just not at 100% fitness. Pice, obviously, the question goes to you as well in terms of wouldn't it make more sense to play Chalobah? But obviously, before that, rating for Christensen today, 6.5. Would you go something different?
7 for me. I thought it was pretty good, to be honest. A lot of really good tackles. Good tracking of runners, I thought. I thought him and Rudiger were pretty good, to be fair, especially Rudiger. I think they dealt with the counter-attacks reasonably well, pretty well indeed. And yeah, I would have given Silva a 6.5, so I'm going to give Christensen a 7. A bit annoying that he had to come off with cramp, but I don't know.
Did he have a cramp?
Yeah, he had cramp.
He's always got something wrong with him. If it's not his headache, it's his tooth. If it's his back, there's always something wrong with the guy. He never.
I used to say that, but to give credit to him, over the last sort of few months, he's really kind of got more of a dirty and aggressive defender in him. He's unleashed that side, in my opinion. He definitely attempts more duels for sure and wins a lot of them. That's quite visibly clear when you're watching him, compared to what he used to be. So. In terms of the Chalobah debate, I mean, Chalobah, I rate him highly, but he wasn't good for a couple of games. So I think Christensen has the experience on him, whether you like it or not, as well. So I think it makes sense to play Christensen.
But he's always going to have the experience over him if you don't play Chalobah.
Yeah. And he's had some stinkers as well. Actually, people forget.
Would you rather have Chalobah played today over Christensen? Because I wouldn't personally.
No, not today.
I don't think it would have mattered. I think they would have played equally as well, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's no like where I would have preferred this or the other. I just wouldn't have minded, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't. Personally, I think Christensen's a bit better. I think Chalobah will get there, but I think it's too early yet.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But because of the game we played today against that type of opposition, I think Chalobah would have been equally as fine as Christensen. If you told me we're playing Man City, then I'd pick Christensen still for the time being.
I guess you can have the debate would have Chalobah chucked the runners or been as aware of Christensen? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, by the way, you were right with sure he had a few stinkers, but those were before. Did he have the Rona as well, or just injury? But that's ages ago. He might next time he plays be amazing. I guess we'll only find out when he does play again. But that is fair. Let's go to Antonio Rudiger. Officially got man of the match. Not quite sure how. Not because he wasn't good, but because I didn't think he was better than anybody else. Like, I just thought it was decent. The only thing annoyed me was when he went for a cross with his left foot. I'm like, come on. Like, I know nobody else is doing anything, so I appreciate you trying. I get it. But I'd rather you shoot from 30 yards than play across with your weak foot, because those have never been good. So just don't even do that, please. But yeah, I'm stuck between a 6.5 and a 7. So I'll hear what you guys have to say first and then make my decision. Because, yeah. Maybe he was a tiny bit better in my head than Christensen. So I'll say 7. I'll say 7, you know. Let's be positive. We want a cup at the end of the day. Who shall I go with next? Pice, why don't I go with you next?
See, I thought Rudiger was really good today. I think it was an authoritative performance. I think his pace in the back three is like illegal. Like, it shouldn't be like legal. It is illegal. Honestly, his pace, his strength, like those guys, every time they try to counter attack, they couldn't get past him. Or if I think there was one actually where Silva it was Silva, I think. He stepped up. Silva stepped up, the ball went through, Rudiger like dashed across from the left side and just got the ball, and it was calm again. Like, people don't like take those things into account. Like, that could have been a goal. Like, if that was another defender, like, yeah, I thought it was a really authoritative performance. I think he was pretty good on the ball. Was kind of the only one trying long balls as well, to be fair. And yeah, just I love it. We have to give
many of them were good. Let's be honest. Not that many of his long balls were very good.
No, not in terms of like standout ones, but like at least just trying. You know what I mean? Like Silva's ones, he was trying, but they were going like off the pitch and shit. So, it's just an overall element I rate of Rudiger's game, to be fair. So yeah, I'm trying to get his stats up as well, because I'm sure he must have made, two block shots, 3 interceptions, 3 tackles, dribble past 0 times. I mean, it was an overall solid performance. I'm going to give him a 7. No, I give Christensen a 7.5. Did I, or did I give him a 7?
No, you said 7.
So okay, I'll give Rudiger a 7.5 because I think he was the best of the 3 personally.
Fair dues. I mean, yeah, obviously, like when you look at the stats will definitely be good for all 3 of them, because obviously Palmeiras didn't really threaten us much. The thing I would say is Palmeiras, number 1, aren't that good. And number 2, they didn't even try to threaten us that much. Like, they only played a few counterattacks. And I mean, you play against Premier League teams who are way better at counterattacking. So, like, we're used to doing this. So, like, that was never a big worry for me, in all honesty. So maybe that's why I'm not giving them that much credit, because I'm like, okay, you know how this works, and they aren't that good. So, like, good performance, but like nothing to rave about. But fair dues. I mean, you were 0.5 higher than I went, so can't exactly be too different. Clutch. Excuse me. What do you think? 7, 7.5? Would you go with something different?
I'm going to agree with Pius again. I'm going to go with the 7.5. I think he was the best out of the back 3. There was many times he came over from that left-hand side to cover the right when there was space in behind. I think he covered the counter very well. And like Pius said, his pace should be illegal back there. He did have a couple times when he stepped up and ran with the ball. He almost had one through pass to Pulisic that barely got intercepted. That would have been an in-behind pass. His passing was good today. I don't think it was fantastic. I think it was good.
It's so weird how people see football differently, isn't it? Because that ball you just mentioned there about from Rudiger, and I was like, it was happening. I saw Pulisic run. I was like, come on, play the ball, play the ball. But as obvious as it was to you and me, it was exactly that obvious to the defender. So he intercepted it so easy. I'm like, yeah, he tried it, but it was so obvious that the defender so easily intercepted that I wouldn't give credit for it. But I understand that you would, and it's just funny how people view football differently. Anything you would like to add, Clutch, or shall I go to?
Nope, just my 7.5.
Fair dues. Jem, I have a feeling we might need to chat again, but what do you think?
I don't think it was a vintage Rudiger performance. I don't know. Like, I think he was good. Don't get it right. I think it was bad. I just don't think it was like he was amazing. Like, since his pace, like Pius said, his pace is ridiculous. Like, I did actually know he was that quick when he until I think it was in the second half where he was on the sprint. It was just him and the striker, and he was just gone. Literally,
and he caught him up as well. Like, the guy had like a head start, and he was like,
it's the way he runs as well. He's like, his back straight, and he's just like, it's so funny the way he runs as well.
It's like a robot. It's like, I robot, come on, I must run.
They call that the perfect sprint when I was like in my gym class in school when I was, because it's like you keep the arm, you get both arms up at the same, or one arm with one knee raising at the same time, back straight. They call that the perfect sprint.
Yeah, look, I'll keep it short and sweet. He didn't have a bad game. It was decent. I don't think it was unbelievable. Would I say he was better than Thiago Silva? Probably the same. 7.
So, as I predicted...
Wait, Laurenz, can I just ask a question?
Of course.
To all three of you, for Rudiger's contract, do you think it's non-negotiable at this point? Like, do you think we should pay him?
Of course.
Yes.
Yes, and it's our own fault that he now, if he asks more, because I saw someone say he's always wanted 225k, so there's slightly differing reports. But even if he raised it, it's your problem, Chelsea. He asked for 200k first, should have given him that. Now he has every right to ask more because you've tried to mug him off. So 1,000,000%.
I think Chelsea, I don't want to get into it too much because we're doing this, but in terms of the board and how much they actually are willing to pay defenders, I think that's the thing as well. I don't think they want to be have defenders on the book that are taking nearly like 225 grand.
I think they need to understand what football club we are, and the fact
that
more than attackers. So
you're right. It's what I'm about to say. It's our defense that deserves more of the money. It should be flipped around and not Lukaku and Werner. Do you know what I mean? For example, so yeah, I just think 200k, 210 if they can do that, 100%. Do I think they're going to do it? I don't know whether I trust my board personally. So we'll just see what happens.
I think they'll get there in the end. I think they'll find a compromise. I don't think they'll pay him the 225, but I think he'll agree to slightly less. But I'm confident we'll get there. Everything that's coming out sounds that way. But at the same time, a few months ago, everything that came out told us the opposite.
Yeah,
I suppose. So, who knows? Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 7s and 2 7.5s. Even though, from what I've seen in the chat already, I think most of you are going to go with the higher one. But please put your rating in the chat so we can decide what rating we will give Antonio Rudiger, especially because we're already an hour in and we've only done 4 players and we also made 5 substitutions or 6 in the end. Who knows? So we have a lot to get through. So get your fingers going on that keyboard of yours and put that rating in the chat, please. 1 7.5, I can see. 7.25. Well, that's cheating. You don't count that one. 1 7. So 1 each so far. 7.5, 7.5. What else are we going to get? Another 7.5, another 7.5, an 8. So another 7.5. I suppose 7.5 wins. But hey, I appreciate it. I'd rather have a more positive chat than a more negative chat, if I'm honest. Let's do the wingers first, or the wing backs first, shall I say. What's going on today? Excuse me. Azpilicueta. Not much good or bad to say until he won us the decisive penalty. So for that reason itself, you could almost argue I would want to give him as high as Rudiger. Obviously, I wouldn't have gone as high as Rudiger as you guys did, but still. But I'm going to say 7, just because he won us the penalty. But no, you know what? I say 7.5 because he won us the penalty, because that's essentially what won it for us. And you could argue that his volley would have gone in anyway. Imagine that. Azpilicueta scoring 100 and whatever minute volley in the Club World Cup final, and that would have been a screamer of a goal. But yeah, I'm gonna go 7.5 just because of the decisiveness, and I don't think he did much wrong, but also not much right until then. You could argue a 7. I'll be okay with the 7 as well, if I'm honest. Clutch, you first. What do you think?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I'm gonna agree with you. 7.5.
I don't know. Well, especially when I let you go first. Say however much you have to say, bro.
I mean, you said it all. I mean, I don't think he did too much outside him winning the penalty. Offensively, he had 0 crosses. Didn't really do much. Just kind of waited around and kind of kept the defense in check because he was playing. Because it seemed like Pulisic was playing more of that center mid role, and he was playing a little bit more wide. So I'd probably go for the 7.5.
Fair enough. And then Pice, what do you think? 7.5 a bit too high, or do you agree that the decisiveness of winning the pen justifies it?
Well, the decisiveness of winning the pen, for me, is going to bump him up to a 7. I was going to give him a 6.5. I thought it was a fairly average performance, just as we get every time when he plays wing-back. He made a few good runs into the box, but a couple of the balls, to be fair, weren't great. I think there was one in the first half where he might have got on the end of it, like he stretched for one of them, and like he was trying. He always tries, but we know like Azpi is not a wing-back. So I kind of, I always tend to give him like an average 6 or a 6.5, but I'm going to bump it up to a 7 because he won the penalty, and obviously because I love him. So yeah, let's go with a 7.
That's fair. I mean, you're absolutely spot on. I completely agree. You get an average performance out of Azpi every time at wing back, but I would also say other than the moment Lukaku scored, he was probably the most actually threatening of all our players. Like, because, like you say, the one he stretched for, Callum's cross, then the other cross where he was then kind of on the floor and got up before the goalkeeper, and unfortunately, he tried to square it to Lukaku rather than.
You know what it is? It's like, you know what it is? It's like I wouldn't say threatening. I think he gets into the positions, which is good for his age, but like
but no one else gets into those positions. What I'm saying, so he's the only one that does this.
Yeah, like, but in terms of just wing back, it's like Reece gets into those positions and does something. You know what I mean? Aspie tries and gets in those positions and doesn't. Like, that's the difference. Although I will say he should have had an assist last game, so I will say that.
Fair. I mean, Ardash makes a point here. Give the man 10 today, the most decorated player of our club, and led our club to the UCL and Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But then wouldn't you give, like, if we did that, we'd have to give Tuchel a 10. You know what I mean?
Well, no, he's officially the first Chelsea player in history to win every major trophy, isn't he?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if you give Aspie a 10 based on winning trophies, you have to give Tuchel a 10 for what he's done.
No, not this trophy, on having won all trophies.
No, all trophies. Yeah. That's what it's talking about. For me personally, I thought we know what we get with Aspie. You know, we know his limitations with playing as a wing back, and the one thing you can't knock him for is trying to give 100%. Whether that 100% is great is everyone's sort of own preference. But for me, I thought I agree with Laurenz. I thought he actually had quite. Other than I think you could argue that he was our most effective. Like, I'd say effective actually, like the most threatening in the box. It was a bit weird, but I love Aspie, man. He's a legend, and he'll always be a legend at this football club, even if he does go to Barca at the end. So, for me, I'll give him a 7.5.
Fair dues. I suppose then in the end leaves us with the 7.5. I don't think we actually have 8 likes, Wyman. Maybe you need to refresh. But on that very note, ladies and gentlemen, please do smash that like button. We're still 400 people here, so we need to have at least 200 likes. So go down below, click that like button. Doesn't cost you any money and doesn't cost you any time at all. So just listen to us, click the like button for me. It really helps me out, helps out with the YouTube algorithm and that. So please do. And subscribe if you haven't already. And what else have I seen here that I wanted to mention? Well, the fact that Alonso, but also N'Golo Kante, if we do win the Carabao Cup final, have actually, as well as Aspie, won every single trophy available for Chelsea.
Okay, Laurenz, I've decided we're winning the Carabao Cup. Now I've heard Alonso's going to win everything. He's so inevitable. We've won the Carabao Cup, guys.
Don't do this to me.
It's true. You're absolutely spot on.
We've won it.
There's a profile on social media, and it's literally created for Alonso. It's called the Alonso defense, and every time like he has a good game, if he has a good game or he wins, they always remind me. Like, just funny enough, they just tagged me in something just now, basically saying he's one trophy away from winning everything. And I'm just like, why?
Have you heard anything more oxymoronic than Alonso defense?
Alonso defense, check it out. It's
mad. It's mad. Like, it would be crazy and will be crazy for Kante as well if we achieve it. But for Kante, it's almost like it's less shocking. The fact that, like, the amount of times us here, Clutch and Pies and myself especially, obviously when Jem was on as well, we've slated like Alonso, and he goes here and has won every trophy he tried to win here. It's mental, absolutely mental. But let's go to the other side. Sorry, say again.
I said, guess who has the last laugh, isn't it? Alonso, isn't it?
Very true. And he's the millionaire, not us. So, who's laughing. But let's go to the other side. Other wingback, Callum Hudson-Odoi, got the assist for the one open play goal that we did have. Wasn't a big fan of his tracking back, in all honesty. When he did, it was good, but he oftentimes didn't. And again, I'm not going to be too critical of him today, in all honesty. I know when he didn't get past people as much as he should, but I firmly believe that he did not get the ball anywhere near enough, and he could have gotten it so many more times. Like, I mean, we're talking about it with Thiago Silva earlier. The amount of times Callum was completely free on the left wing, and Thiago instead decided to square it to Christensen. I'm like, what the flip was the point in that then? I mean, not that I'm saying Callum would have done anything with it, but get it forward and get something going, because it's a threat and it moves the opposition around, and then he can square it again. Like, So I'm not going to be too harsh. I would have said an average 6, maybe a 5.5, but with the assist, I'm going to say 6. Nah, I tell a lie. I changed my mind. 6 with the assist, 6. Otherwise, I would have gone a bit lower. But still, I don't think it was like super bad. Like I'm going to go for, bro. The way I felt after this game, I think all of these ratings are way too high personally, other than Christensen's and Mendy's. I'll say 6 because he got the assist. But let's see what you boys have to say. Pice, I'll go with you first on this one. Because you said earlier you weren't happy with Callum. But what rating does that entail then, considering he got the assist as well?
5 with the assist for me. Thought he was really bad. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be unbiased. I thought he was really bad. He had, I don't know how many crosses he had, but like I tweeted out like
I checked earlier. He had 9 crosses and 3 of them successful.
Yeah, like I know his quality from crossing, especially when he's on the left and he cuts in. Like, not good enough. Like, fantastic, he got the assist, of course, but if you're judging it on an overall picture, like, he was not good. He was not taking people on. He was losing the ball so much. And then you compare that to Pulisic, who came on, who was like taking everybody on, and his dribbling seemed to be back, Pulisic. So I have to be unbiased. It's got to be a 5 for me. It wasn't a good performance from him.
Fair dues. Fair dues.
Maybe you go 5.5, but I don't know. Like, it's I'm not sure.
You do. No one's telling you what rating you have to go for. So for the time being, we sit on a 5.5 with my 6 and your 5. What's going on? Who do I go with next? Jim, I'll ask you. What do you make of him and how would you rate him?
Listen, I like Callum Hudson-Odoi, and it's annoying because he's a bit, for me, he's like Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I think they've got so much talent and ability. It's just what frustrates me with them is that they're not consistent. They fizz out of games. They're not consistent, and we can always. Not saying you guys are making excuses, but there's always an excuse for him. It's like, even if he has a bad game, it's because of this, it's because he's there, or he's playing wing back, or like this game today, when he did get the ball, he kept losing the ball. He couldn't even hold the ball. He got caught out of position a couple of times, and Rudiger had to, Rudiger was there anyway, but then Rudiger had to sort of, get him out of jail in many ways. And he tries to track back, but you can just tell he don't want to do that. He don't want to have to run all the way back to our penalty box and help Rudiger try and tackle these players and stuff. And all right, granted, I said actually that the two worst players on the pitch were the ones that scored the goals. Them two, Cho and Lukaku. So it's a weird one with Cho because I know like he's so good, and I want to see him run at players, be direct, get round them, keep play to your strengths. It's literally it. Just play to your strength. That is your strength. Play to it. Why are you not doing it? And I don't know. I'm losing patience with him. That's what it is. I am generally losing patience with him because how many times are we going to keep sitting here and saying, well, last year it was he doesn't get enough minutes. He doesn't get. That's the problem because Tuchel don't play him. Lampard didn't play him. Now he's being given minutes this season. All right, it's not consistently, barring obviously when Lukaku and Werner are out through that period with Norwich when we beat him 7-0. He's just been inconsistent for me. What is it? 1 goal and one assist, is it? In the Premier League or something stupid this season? Like it's not good. I just don't think it's good enough for him. And why I'm so critical of him is because he's so talented. It's ridiculous. And I just don't know whether Chelsea are going to be able to unlock that talent. I'm just running out of patience with it all.
I hear it in a way. I hear it. The problem is we need to sign so many other players that for the time being, Callum gets at least another season in my books. But did you give me a rating? Sorry, Jem. If you did, I didn't.
Oh man, I was ranting away, wasn't I? I forgot to give you a rating. For me, it was a 4. I just don't think he was that good. Yeah, because before he'd even crossed that ball, I thought he was like a 2. I thought he was so bad. I really thought he was that ineffective. So, with that setting up, I'd say a 4. Yeah.
I do. So I guess that, for the time being, puts us at a 5. And then Clutch, what do you reckon?
I'm going to start with, I think all these ratings are too high, but I partially contributed to that. So, you know what? I'm going to go 5.5 for Cho. And I'm going to do it for one simple reason. He's not Alonso.
I like the reason. I
agree with it. Well, what Jem said. I mean, he was poor. He wasn't taking people on his one-on-ones. He kept losing the ball. But he did have a couple good crosses. And I want to have I want to believe in him because I do think there's a great player in there. I really do. It's just I'm seeing this trend that he's having where he's like too afraid to take on players, and I don't know why. And I really want to see him take on more players because he did one time in the first half when he almost got a shot off for himself. But I think it was just an unfortunate day for him. So I'm gonna go 5.5. We won a trophy. I'm not gonna be too harsh on him.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I mean, Adam saying if you go watch Callum, if you watch it back, you will agree. No, I do think he was banned. Don't get me wrong when he got the ball, but I don't think he got the ball enough for me to give it a completely fair rating. Hence why I gave him the benefit of the doubt, because any winger against a very good defensive team needs as many opportunities as possible to do something. And eventually he got one and got an assist. And before I don't think Callum was in another position where he could even try anything between giving an assist and us conceding the equaliser and him being subbed off. So that's basically where my 6 came from. But hey, I hear you guys. And I guess overall, that still puts us at a 5.5. I guess kind of. Well, it's more like a 5.25. Well, let's leave the 5.5. The chat gave the other ones all the higher ratings, so why not? Let's go to N'Golo Kante, the slightly more defensive of the two midfielders. I'm going to be harsh on both midfielders, by the way, because if your team is slow, I think that first and foremost stems from the midfielders. Wingbacks, sure, as well, but the way we play today, less sort of wingbacks, more the midfielders, and also like these two. I was going to point at my computer screen with my fingers now. Obviously, you guys weren't going to see that then. So that was silly. But N'Golo Kante, I'm going to go with that said 4 that Jem just brought up for Callum. Like, I don't think it was just a useless midfielder performance. Like, yeah, you ran about, won the ball, brilliant. But whenever we had it, which we had a lot of the time because we were possession-heavy team, did nothing useful with it. And someone's going to say he had one great moment in attack. All right, brilliant, fantastic. But one isn't good enough, is it? Like, when he's playing over a player that gives us control. I will say we had control. Maybe I'm harsh. No, you know what? I'll say 4.5. Maybe 4 is a bit harsh. But yeah, Clutch, I'll let you go first on this one. Do you think 4.5 is too harsh?
I'd probably go with the 4, to be honest. I thought it was really poor going forward today, and that's something we really needed. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, when you play these two, they both want to go forward, they both want to progress, and if your Kante's going to be the one to progress, it's not going to be Kovacic, and you're taking a lot of what Kovacic's strengths are. So you're having him sit back while Kante starts to move forward. It did change a little bit, and I know Kante kind of went back into more of a sitting role, which doesn't really suit him very often. So when he did go forward, and I think the passing wasn't there, but that's something that's not new with Kante. That's why I think Kante should be played in games.
No, it's not new. That's why I don't understand why he plays these games.
Yeah, that's why I think if we're going to go play a team that has more possession than we do, then Kante is the perfect fit for that game. But if we're going to be the one having possession, you have to play Jorginho. That's his strength. That's his literal point of being on the field. So,
Clutch, you're the main Pulisic fan here. Someone said he created a big chance of Pulisic. Do you remember it? Because I
don't. No, maybe. I know Pulisic shot twice from outside the box, but one of them I know was from Lukaku.
Yeah, he shot from outside the box, but did Kante do much to give him the ball there? I don't remember it.
I don't remember that.
There we are. So you went 4, I went 4.5, and I thought I was harsh. Let's see what the other boys think. Jem.
I think with N'Golo Kante is that he's always regarded like, when you think of his ratings and the way that he plays, he's always so high, especially in finals. Like I get why Tuchel played him. Like when N'Golo Kante's fit, you play him, especially in the final. Like he's usually like,
I agree, but not in a final against a South American team that plays like Burnley.
Yeah, but he played.
Like if it's a proper final, yes, but not against a much lesser opposition, I think.
Well, Man City was world class, wasn't he? In
yeah, but that's what I mean. That wasn't a lesser opposition. That's what I'm saying, essentially.
Yeah, but the less opposition that you're talking about are also very quick on the break. So I kind of get why they still picked Kante in that position for the energy. And just for me personally, he didn't have a Kante-esque game. I was critical of him in his last game. I thought he was very poor. Today, I thought he wasn't great, but I don't think he was piss poor personally. So, I mean, yes, he was giving the ball away. Yes, he could have played the ball a little bit quicker moving forward. Him and Kovacic, it doesn't. I don't know. I thought it could work with them too. I'm still not 100% sure. What I have seen, it's not. So for me, I would say a 5 or a 5.5, maybe a 5. I'm going to go with.
Fair dues, fair dues. Just to quickly react to what you said there, I hear that in terms of they're quick on the counter attack, but isn't that the whole point of us playing a back three? If we play a back four, yeah, Kante all day long for that very reason makes complete sense in the world. But isn't that the whole point of our back three? We're
No,
less
but
set for the counter attacks.
but you also
But
need
then
players
we
that have
change
recovered.
two positions of our team, midfield and defense, because an opponent like Palmeiras is good on counter attacking. That's our problem in attack. We don't focus on us enough.
True. I agree. I just think it's more the recovery speed, the recovery pace as well. Once we do get beaten in that midfield, and you're right, the defense is quick. It's how quick do they break, and it's not like that. I thought they broke quite quick a couple of times. I know they didn't offer much later on in the
But
game.
never
They
really
looked
through
good.
midfield, did they? It was
Yeah.
always long balls, so the midfield was kind of pointless.
Yeah. I just think he wanted energy. That's what I'm getting. I think he just wanted energy. I think he wanted the press.
Yeah.
I think he expected more from Kante further up the pitch. I agree. I don't think we got that. But I wouldn't say he was really, really, really bad. But that, again, it's preference, isn't it? The way you see it.
Fair dues. And Pice, finish it off for us with Kante. We have a 4, a 4.5, and a 5 so far. Would you go higher? Would you go around that area? Or what would you do?
Probably go with a 4.5, I reckon. Was one of his worst games. Got it completely wrong to you before the game. I said, don't worry, Kante's going to have a masterclass. It's a final. Watch this space, and then he does that. He was losing the ball.
So
he wasn't effective going forward. Yeah, I've never seen Kante lose the ball so much, bro. Like, oh my God. There was one towards the end of the game where I think he got tackled and he like tried to slide tackle on the floor and then they started a counter attack. I was just like, what is going on? Yeah, it was not a good game from him. I gave Cho a 5, so I have to give Kante a 4.5 because at least Hudson-Odoi got an assist, right? Kante for me wasn't good at all. This was one of his worst games for Chelsea. And I have to give him such a low rating because I have such high standards for Kante. So yeah.
Yes, I completely agree. That does come into it. And someone said earlier, if like obviously the one main culprit, if Kepa had the same game as Mendy did today, would have given him a 7 or an 8. Maybe a 7, true. But again, that comes from the standards, and maybe it's not always 100% fair. But we're fans here. We don't sit here and claim to be like unbiased journalists writing for the Telegraph or the Athletic and giving match ratings, right? We are not non-biased. We are Chelsea fans. We're quite literally as biased as you can be because we are fans of said club we're talking about. So obviously there are going to be certain biases, not towards individual players, I mean, but certain, we know which players are better and which players aren't, I guess. So it's only a natural thing. But Pice, I will stick with you actually and go straight to Kovacic, finish the midfield 2 off. I did think he was a bit better than Kante, but I still didn't think he was good.
Yeah, it wasn't great from Kovacic either. Although the goal did start from him getting past that guy, so I have to give him a little bit of credit for that. They've definitely tried, like he definitely did go on like runs and stuff, like he tried to get the ball forward. I don't know, it's not one of those games where I watched Kovacic, I was like, oh my God, he was amazing. You know what I mean? Like
the problem is that because of the opponent we played and them sitting so deep, running isn't going to create the space we need. Like against an opponent that presses us, him beating 1 or 2 players in midfield means everything. But against a team that sits as deep as
that's what Laurenz,
it doesn't mean much, or it doesn't change much.
But he did that for the first goal, right? He beat
the
guy.
No, he did. You're not wrong, obviously, but the goal still only happened because the cross was good and the header was good. Just the run doesn't make the goal.
True, but it starts it off, right? If you have like Jorginho there, he's not going on that dribble.
But he might just play an over-the-top ball to Callum, which essentially would have allowed the same situation to happen. Again, I'm not trying to discredit Kovacic for this. I'm just saying his extreme quality, what he's by far the best at, is extra useful when we play a team that tries to press us and a little bit less useful when they sit deeper. Nothing else.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting because you've also got the debate with his progressive passes this season have also improved, and especially some of his assists. He's getting more assists now, so I think you can look at it from both angles. It's hard to rate. I mean, 6 is the average rating. Was he average? Yes. Was he above average? I don't know. It's a hard one. I don't know what. I don't like you've gone to me first for this.
I'm sorry.
Uh, I'll go over 6. I'll go over 6.
Fair dues. Hey, if you want to change it later, just shout in before we move on. Clutch, I'll go with you. 6 too high for you, 6 too low for you, or about where you would have gone as well?
I'm just going to go a little bit below at 5.5. I think, unfortunately for Kovacic, he has to sit next... saying that like this is going to sound so bad, but he has to sit next to Conte, who's just not his pairing. Has it worked in the past? Yes. But that's also when we kind of seen a little bit more discipline from both of them. Like I've been saying.
Against better opponents, though. That's exactly the point I just made to Pies. Against better opponents, this Kovacic Kante thing can work. But against a team where we need to break someone down and they don't even attempt to press us and their energy midfield is kind of a little bit wasted, that's when it doesn't work at all, to me.
Yeah, and I think he had to kind of sit back a little bit because he had to have Conte roam. So I just didn't think it was kind of like his fault necessarily, so I'm just going to go a little bit below because I don't think he was that great.
Fair. Jem, what do you think?
Not a vintage Kovacic performance. I'll keep it short and sweet. I think you guys have summed it up quite nicely. I expect him to be. I expect him to do more progressively moving forward. Got caught on the ball a couple of times. Maybe it was because he was asked to play more of the deeper role, I'd say, than Kante. It was only a bit till later in the game when he got taken off, didn't he?
He got taken off when we changed the shape for his better role,
Yeah, so, a little bit weird, actually. I'd say 5.5, Kovacic.
Fair. Yeah, unfortunately for you, Pies, I would actually go along with the 5.5. So even if you did want to go 6.5, it would have ended up on the 5.5. But let's move up to the forward. Let's give Mount. Does Mount even get a rating? Because obviously he came off after 25, 30 minutes.
Not really.
Probably with that same ankle issue he picked up against Plymouth, but that's pure guessing. I don't know. But I mean, what I liked was when he was still on the sideline with Tuchel and they were like talking about like what do we do, and then he was going to the players said, okay, we're going to change this and that. So like I like that in a way, but that obviously doesn't give you a rating. And then he had to come off. Did he do much before? No. But did anybody do much until the point he was subbed off? Also no. So I'm not really sure how harsh I'm going to be with it. Anybody in favor of NA, or does anybody want to give ratings?
NA.
Pies, Clutch?
I would probably go NA. I do think we were more positive after he came off, unfortunately for him, but I think it's just a different type of game to be played. Like I said, I mean, yes, his pressing up front is what we rely on, but offensively, I don't think he had much input today, so I'd go NA.
Pies? Fair. Sorry, what? I still owe you Pies on cover. What did you mean by that?
I told Pius like 2 streams ago I would give Kova a little bit leeway.
There you go. Fair. But fair enough. Pies, do you agree on the NA for Mason?
Yeah, I mean, he was working his way towards a Kante type rating, to be honest with you. But if he stayed on the pitch and didn't do much, but yeah, I'd go with an NA. Hope he's all right.
Fair dues. Shall we, even though he came on, played obviously the rest of the game until 120 minutes, shall we just do Pulisic? Played 3 different positions today. Started here, then played left wing back, then played kind of a number 8 in a midfield 3 where Kante was the deepest and Saul was the left side, which was weird, but hey, that's what we did, I guess. So tough for him, but still think pretty good. Mind you, the whole debate that we had at the start of like he was the best of our attackers, that still doesn't give you a high rating today, honestly. I'm going to go 6.5, and that might be pushing it. I could be tempted to even only go 6, but I think that would drag the ratings of the other 2 a bit too low than what I want to go. So I'll say 6.5. He was good. The shot that he dragged just wide of the post wasn't bad. I liked how he went for the headers, like went for it with all his everything he had. He went for them. If only Lukaku did that more often. Sure, he scored, but if Lukaku had that intensity of going for headers, I guarantee Lukaku would score 3 headed goals every game. What's going on today? I can't breathe and speak. Who do I go with first? Clutch, I'll let you finish it. So I'll go with Jem first. What did you make of Pulisic and how would you rate him?
I think he was one of our best forwards, don't get me wrong. I want to see him being played more consistently in that position. I think he's very direct. I think he's a different style of footballer in terms of when he hasn't got the ball, you always see him arriving in the box. And I like that because when you're Chelsea and want to play out on the wings and cross the ball in, usually a lot of the times it's just Lukaku in the box on his own and there's no one actually supporting him. And 9 times out of 10, it never goes to him. So if you've got someone like Christian Pulisic in and around, running around him, I think it works. And he was trying to find pockets of space, pick the ball up and dribble. There's no doubt when Christian Pulisic is at his best, and I know we haven't seen a lot of it, but when he is at his best, I think he starts. He'll take one of them positions straight up. I think he's that good. We haven't seen it enough, but I think he had an overall good game. He did kind of fizz out in the second half, but then again, I don't just blame him. I thought all of our forwards just went for a bit of a period where they just ghosted for a while. But yeah, he looked lively. He looked good. He didn't look like he had roller skates on. Sometimes he gets the ball and then he just like falls over the ball he wasn't doing that. He was actually running around players, moving his, shifting the ball with his feet. Like he looked pretty good for me. So I would say, I think that's 7 for me for Pulisic. Yeah. You're muted, Laurenz.
Sorry, I was coughing and I had to mute myself, and then I went to the whole line-up screen again, and then I can't unmute myself there. My apologies. I said because you need to head off in a second anyway. You just want to finish off Kai and Lukaku as well?
Look, I know you guys thought he wasn't all that. I think Kai Havertz is class. I do. I think everything about his game, how he is. I do think he needs to score more goals. Don't get me wrong. But his whole movement, even with the ball at his feet, arriving in the box. I just think he's, the last 2 games, I think the last game round, I thought he had a pretty good game. I know in the second half, he kind of fished that again. Again, the same thing with him in the second half, but he did get that penalty. And the one thing I would say is Aspie was going to take the penalty originally. He took the ball of Aspie and said, look, I'll take it.
I watched Kai's interview after the game and it was like Aspie kind of gave it to him. Like it was.
Oh, he gave it to him. All right. It looked like because he was.
I thought he's taking it, and then all of a sudden, then my commentator said Kai is taking it. I was like, okay, good.
Well, look,
Aspie said it was a tactic.
But it's a big responsibility for a young player like he is to step up and take that when you've got people like Timo Werner and Ziyech and all these like prime players that are on there that should be taking them. To do that and the way he finished it as well, what a penalty. I don't think any goalie would have saved that penalty. It was a great finish. And look, maybe that goal pushed him up a little bit more for me, but I would give him at least a 7 or 7.5 actually, 7.5.
Fair dues. I mean, to be honest, even my Pulisic rating, I'm kind of thinking maybe I do need to go back to that 6. But we'll see. We'll see what the other boys say in the end. Obviously, I'll leave it at the 7.5 for the time being. And Lukaku, for you weren't happy with him, but at least he scored a proper goal today because he scored in the last game, but it was like just lucky. But this one was actually a proper goal.
I just feel like his game's limited. I just think he's not his game. Yeah, I just think he's limited. I just think he's a limited striker. I generally do. Like in this system, we just need movement, and I know he's not that. So if you're not going to move, then I expect you to hold the ball and be a bit like what Giroud did. When he's laying offs was really good, and like he utilised his ability to use his strength and whatever else. But I don't know. Look, his overall game today, I don't think it was his worst game. Don't get me wrong. He did hold the ball up here and there, but he also had some really bad touches as well, like proper Lukaku touches that just didn't surprise me. He got his goal. I can't knock him for that. It was a great header, top corner. That's what we bought him for, to score goals like that. I'm a bit like you. I'm a little bit annoyed with his whole. He doesn't. I know Pies is saying he was smiling after the game and whatever else, but when you score a goal and you're struggling to score a goal and it's an important goal like that in a final, like you just expect more from him, and he's just very it
is psychologically proven that smiling will make you feel better. So the fact that try to make yourself feel better, bro. I'm not even I'm not trying to dig him out. I'm just saying, come on, you need extra help right now.
Yeah,
so at least try to help yourself.
But when you're that stat, and you want to get your fan, you're trying to get you're fighting to get the fans on side as well. Do you know what I mean? And you're scoring goals, and you're just you've got people like Havertz jumping on you, really celebrating and stuff. And I don't know. I just feel like with him that yes, he had a good game. Let's say good game, okay game. Sorry. He got the goal. prior to the goal, I would say him and Cho were our worst players on the pitch again. Personally, I just didn't see anything really that made me think they deserve to be on the pitch. So with the goal, I'd probably give him a 6, probably.
Fair dues. You just want to give a quick rating for Tuchel as well, which we will obviously do at the very end.
I still think he leaves substitutions too late. I don't know why he does that. It's not just this game; he does it in most games. I think he can just change the game a lot earlier. But overall, you know, it was nice to have him back there. You know, having your manager back is massive, especially in finals. So, you know, I agree with you to a degree in terms of the way he set up. Like, it wasn't like how I expected him to set up. In a way, you could maybe argue that maybe he shouldn't have done certain things. So I would say give him a 7. Give him a 7. It wasn't an 8 or a 9 for me. It was a 7.
Fair dues. Fair dues. Jem, big shout out to you for coming on. Of course, everybody subscribe to Jem's channel. Link is down in the description below at GNA TV. But yeah, have a good night, mate. And I'm going to
see you later, guys. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for having me as well. Appreciate it.
Later, bro.
Take care, man. See you later.
All right, Pice. Let me go to you. Back to Pulisic. I might, but just because I'm going to be a bit harsh on the other two as well than Jem was, I might lower mine to a 6. Maybe I don't know. You know what? Say what you think first, because I'm not sure if 6 is too harsh or not.
For me, he was the best player on the pitch. I'm not going to lie.
That might be true. Well, I assume that means of attackers. Surely you didn't think he was better than Rudiger.
Well, it's always hard to judge defenders versus attackers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's what I meant. Like, you could probably mean forward players.
Yeah, like, I mean, to be fair, if you're talking about what Rudiger did for defense and what Pulisic did to input the attack, I mean, they're around the same influence. I'm not going to lie. I think we were pretty poor until Pulisic came on. I think his dribbles and his, like, as soon as he came on, like, he looked on it, like he looked up for it. It looked like he had a point to prove. You know what I mean? Like, he looked energized, unlike the others. And that was like my problem with Havertz, is like, fucking legend for scoring, right? But scoring the penalty. But I just felt like, and Mount as well when he played, and Ziyech as well when he came on, like, they didn't look like they looked tired. You know what I mean? They didn't look energized. They didn't look like they wanted to. I don't know. I just got that vibe from it, and I think some of Pulisic's dribbles were really good. And it was kind of like the old Pulisic that I saw. He looked confident. He looked really confident. And he started off on the right-hand side, right? And then kind of went to the left. So
and then back in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we have Crystal Palace right next. I'd like to see him in that game, to be fair. I would. He's got a good record against them as well, which could be good timely. It could be timely. So I'm actually going to give him a 7.5, Lawrence. I think he was very good for me personally. It's much more I want to see from him.
I will stick to my 6.5. You know, you have slightly convinced me. But before I go to you, Clutch, yeah, I mean, I completely agree with your thoughts, Pice, when he came on. But to me, that fizzled out a bit. And then for a while, like, he was just no better or worse than the other ones around him, I thought. And then he came into it again, and then he phased out of it again. So it was like so on and off. I don't think he was like better than everybody else around him for his whole time on the pitch. I think it was like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, another 5 minutes there. Like, that's how I felt it. That's why I didn't want to go too high. Because do I think he was better than the other ones? Yes. But do I think he was good? No. Hence why I went like 6 or 6.5. But yeah, Clutch, finish it off for us. We sit at a 6.5, a 7, and a 7.5. So a 7 overall. Where do you sit on it?
I have all the power in this, don't I? I'm going to keep it in the middle. I'm going to keep it a 7. I think when you see him come on, Pius made a lot of good points. But I do agree there was periods that he did kind of disappear a little bit. But that was also because the ball wasn't coming to him. He's the kind of player who needs the ball at his feet. And today, when he was showing the confidence that he had, especially the first 15, 20 minutes, he got the ball. He looked positive. He was the only one looking to be positive, to look to push the ball forward. I think he had a couple good link-ups with Lukaku. Lukaku had a couple good hold-up plays with Pulisic. So I think as far as, like, if I were to bet when he came on after the 5-10 minutes that he would be the one to make something, or if you were asked me to make a bet that one of them would have to do something, it was going to be Pulisic. And at one point, they started passing him the ball again. He was starting to get good dribbles. That free kick was very terrible. I don't want to talk about that. But he also had a couple good corners today, I thought. I thought he put in like 2 good corners at least. So, I mean, I think he deserves a little bit higher rating, especially since we haven't seen him since City. So, I mean, hey, I'm going to give him a little bit extra love today. I think probably in my head, I'm probably saying overall we're all too high with all these ratings, but I'd probably say 7.
Fair dues. Fair. But it would have been interesting how our ratings would have been today had we started with the forwards, whether we wouldn't have gone as high with any of them, including in the end the defenders. That would have been interesting. But here we are. We have that 7 for Pulisic. Let's move on to Kai Havertz. Jem gave him a 7.5. He does obviously get a lot of credit for taking a penalty, for taking it very well, for being the man for the big occasion. I mean, sure, he only took the penalty because Jorginho and Lukaku weren't on the pitch, but, still took it and scored it. We've seen players miss penalties. Cristiano Ronaldo can't even score penalties against Middlesbrough. So, swings and roundabouts, that one. But, see, it's weird. Like in the last game, I thought the early, not even just first half, but maybe 35 minutes-ish, maybe first half. It was good. First few minutes of the second half was still okay. But then I didn't really see him again. And then in extra time, he came on again. And then I noticed him again. Obviously, some of that might have been hampered by substitutions. When we brought Team on and when we brought Saul on, like things kind of, it was all Palmeiras for a little while. It's weird. I'm going to go with the 7 like Pulisic because he scored. But I do think he was worse than Pulisic. But he scored, Pulisic didn't, hence why in the end, same rating is what I would do. But Clutch, what about you?
I would agree with the 7. But there are a couple moments I thought he was like, he almost had a ridiculous shot from like the right, like he was almost out of bounds, and I think it almost went in. It was almost ridiculous that he almost got that goal. It was just barely over the top, I think. It was skimmed across the top. It was in the second half, I think.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Pulisic did hit the bar, but the whole situation didn't count because Werner, shocker, was offside. I don't remember that shot by Kai Havertz, but fair enough. I did also, by the way, I wanted to go back to Callum and drag that back down to the 5 because then I remembered when Kai played him in and Callum just screwed it up. Should have scored, instead screwed it up completely. Was the pass by Kai perfect? No. But could he have done it way more with it, Callum? 1,000,000%. But yeah, fair. So you sit on the 7 as well, yeah, Clutch?
Yeah, I'm going to give him 7. He, as a 22-year-old, went up, stepped up, took a penalty to win the Club World Cup. He gets a little bit higher rating. I do think I agree with he's like a 6.5, but a 6. Then I'm going to give him an extra 1 for that penalty.
Fair dues and pies. Finish it off. 7.5. Would you go lower than that?
7 for me. As I said, I don't like. It's really hard. I don't want to ramble on, but the thing is with Havertz, like, saw a comment saying, "Yeah, he got into good positions." I disagree with you, Pies. Because I said I didn't think he was great. I don't disagree with that comment. Whoever said it, but I just on the ball, I think he needs to get on like so much better in terms of being an actual threat. If you get what I mean, like I don't see him as a threat when he's on the ball. Like even in the where's the one way early on he passed to Hudson-Odoi, right? Like, take that on yourself, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you made that great run, and then you just passed it to Callum. Like, I get that it's unselfish, but have the confidence. Like, have the
ruthlessness. But Callum was in a better position, though.
No, he was. Like, the thing is, like, whether or not it made sense to pass or not, it's not my point. Like, I would like to see him be more selfish in general. In those positions, like, you know what I mean? I knew he was going to pass that. Like, I was like, go on, Havertz. And he passed it. And I was like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, it's just like an anti-climax I often get with him. I don't know. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, I hear that. Like, in a sense, I agree. It's weird because Kai, when he gets dangerous or threatening, he's like super dangerous and threatening, but he's never like a bit threatening. Like, in that sense, I get what you mean. He's never like, could be. It's either he is or he's not. It's never this middle ground.
And in this game, like, I just thought he wasn't. Like, you know what I mean? But I give him a 7 because obviously he got the penalty and it takes like massive
and
character.
And he got the red card at the very end, I suppose.
Yeah. That's true. On the counter, on the break. Yeah. That. By the way, can we talk about the referee after this? Because Jesus Christ, I know you didn't agree with me for like a lot of the game, but I thought
no. I agreed with you, but I just think we were much worse than the referee, basically.
Bro, he was doing my head in. Talk about the flow of the game. Like, jeez, man. Like, every 50-50 bit, like, you blow it. Oh, it was a nightmare. Yeah, but 7 for Havertz. 7.
Fair dues. Let's do the referee chat after the team. I'll go last on Lukaku because I want to hear what you guys say first. Jem gave him a 6. Obviously, didn't think it was great, but got the goal, so gave him a 6 overall. Pies, I'll go with you again on this one. Lukaku for you today. Pies?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Clutch.
No, maybe I did, but I meant to say Pies anyway.
No, you probably did say me. Lukaku, yeah, again, another one where I'm just like, I heard a lot of no service arguments, but he was a statue for most of the game, I thought. Like, he didn't, you know what I mean? I know there was less space because it was a deep block in terms of against Al Hilal, you know, you saw him make those runs, have that space to go one-on-one, but kind of actually reminded me of the Juventus game away a little bit today where he was just standing on the 2 centre-backs and he was offering for the ball. And one of the reasons why I give him a little bit of credit is because we didn't get the ball into him. Like, I think the commentator made a reference to the Arsenal away game. You know how every time Mount popped the ball into him and he laid it off and that sort of thing, that created more attacks. Basically, Palmeiras didn't have a DM in front of those centre-backs, like screening Lukaku. So we could have easily played those entry passes into him. And, you know what I mean? We could have had probably more attacks down the sides.
Oh, when the couple of times we did try it, I swear they got intercepted every time because someone ran in front of it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I just noticed a lot of times where we could have done that, is what I mean. Like, we could have done those passes and like, but you know, he got the goal. Like, fair enough. It was a great header. It really, really was a great header. Yeah, but overall game, I mean, I don't know. It's so hard because like Havertz scores, Lukaku scores, Ziyech gets assists, but I didn't think any 3 of them played necessarily good, especially because it's 120 or 120-minute game. So, I don't know. I might have to go with a 7, the same as Havertz, to be fair. Okay. Yeah, I think that would probably make sense. Maybe on the basis of both of them being lower.
Kai played 120 and Lukaku was subbed off after an hour, 70 minutes.
Yeah, that is true. I'll go with a 7. I think he got a very, very important goal for us, just as he did in the semi-final. But I just think, again, it's another case of, like, still not Lukaku for me, you know what I mean? It's still not, I don't know.
Not the Lukaku we were promised anyway.
Yeah, it's not the dominance that we have seen previously at Inter and things.
There you go. I know I should just write down 6.5, but I wanted to make it clear we've so far had a 6 and a 7. Clutch, what about you then for Lukaku?
Hit the wrong button. I'm going to go 6.5. I don't want him to be next to... I don't want him... He did have an important goal, yes, but other than that, I think I think I tweeted he's been really negative today. Like, he didn't do things progressively. After the goal, he started doing things a little bit better. So I do think that gives him a little bit of leeway. So I'm going to give him a 6.5.
It's weird for me because I would give him a 6, but I just think it was so outrageously, sorry Tuchel, but stupid to take him off when he was taken off. That for that reason, I'm going to give him a 6.5 because like he just scored. He was useless all game essentially, like usual. And then he finally became useful, scored a very good goal, finally did what we brought him to do, was like active, just like in the last game when after he scored, he has a bit of a, positive moment. And all of a sudden he's subbed off. Like we finally found a way to actually work a little bit with him and you sub him off. I do not comprehend that. Like, and the amount of goals we whipped in as crosses we whipped in as soon as Ziyech was on second in extra time. And then we did all that, basically whipping it to Werner and Havertz. And Havertz nearly got on the end of one, to be fair to him. But I just don't get it. Obviously, that is not that much to do with Lukaku and what we Tuchel, and we'll get to that later. But it's still, I just don't understand. Like, people know I'm not a big fan of Lukaku, but I've also made it clear, like, he's pissed me off with the whole interview, with his actions, with his behavior, all of that. Was I a big fan of the whole Snapchat thing yesterday? No. Does it have to do with whether it's personal? No, because the man owns a brain. So he knows that this will be interpreted certain ways if you don't make it clear what you're actually talking about. So when you've already screwed up a few months ago, then maybe don't do that. But at the same time, he scored. So then I don't care. Like if you, I'd say play well. He didn't play well. But if you at least score and are an asset and useful to the team, I'm much less critical of things you do outside of the pitch. But because obviously why I was so angry at the interview was, number one, it was recorded when he was still basically injured. And then as soon as he did it, he started playing shit. So I'm like, not only did you ruin things for us and made us angry at you, you also made yourself play worse, because in the last game before the interview, he was fantastic against Aston Villa in that second half when he came on. Like, it was absolutely brilliant. If you could always play like he did against Villa in that second half, we would be all super happy with him. But the one thing I will say, and I can't remember, one of you guys brought it up in terms of the hold-up play thing. He's not good enough at it, in my opinion. Like, he thinks he's way better than he is. But if he does it, right, what I don't understand is the way Hazard, whenever Giroud played, Hazard always stayed close, and then Giroud dropped it, and Hazard basically just took it off Giroud and just ran past him because the defenders were then busy with him. We never even think of that with Lukaku. If you whip it, if you play it long, make sure either whoever is in these two positions is reasonably, when I say reasonably close, within 3-4 yards, that as soon as Lukaku touches it, the guy can go. Because that's when you can actually use the fact that Lukaku kept two defenders busy and creates a gap between defenders. But we never do that. Like, even when Lukaku, as much as I think Lukaku is not good at those hold-up things, or not as good as people think he is or say he is, make it a bit easier for him, number one, because holding up against 2 or 3 players with your back, no matter how big or strong you are, it's much more difficult to play a perfectly aimed 5 to 10 yard pass than it is to play a 2 to 5 yard pass. So make it easier for him, but being closer to him, and we don't ever do that, and that's, in my opinion, frustrating. But I'm going to go with the 6.5. Obviously, we had a lot of subs today, so let me just quickly get those subs up on screen so I can actually have all of them. Where is it? Let me go to facts here. So the first sub, of course, we already have on screen with Christian Pulisic coming on for Mason Mount. The next sub was already that double substitution we were just talking about, when Timo Werner came on for Lukaku and Saul came on for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Obviously, they didn't play in those positions then in the end, but yeah, I can't be bothered to move that around. Timo, Clutch?
He's a tough one because I do think he had positive moments, but unfortunately, I'm gonna go 6. I'm gonna go for a 6 for him. I think it was average. There was one time when he went running down the left-hand side and he was all by himself, and he somehow kept the ball. So I'm gonna give him credit for that.
Yep, fair. Pies?
It's between a 5.5 and a 6 for me. Thought he'd give us a little bit more threat, but it was the same sort of thing with Werner. He kind of like beat a player, went down the line, crossed it in, wasn't great. Like, I don't know. What did we really say on Werner? I'll go over 6. Go on then. I'll go over 6.
Fair. Just for, convenience sake, I'll go with the 6 as well. I didn't think it was bad. I just think he came on for the wrong player, because him for Lukaku is not what we needed in that game, in my opinion. But that's not Timo's fault at all. And I thought it was acceptable. He played some good crosses. I can't lie, more good crosses than Callum had today for sure. So, that's fair enough. So I can't lie. The guy was on the pitch for overall 45 minutes. No. Yes. 45 minutes. I basically never noticed him, other than when we had set pieces and the camera focused on him. I never noticed. So not in a bad, that doesn't mean in a bad way, but also just not in a good way. For which reason, because Werner noticed a bit, I'm going to say 5.5, just because I didn't notice him, but he also didn't screw anything up. So, I can't deduct much points, can I? Pice, what do you think?
Oh, God, sorry. I was just reading fucking Mount's hurt his ligaments, I think. Oh, no.
But ankle or knee?
Ankle, because his ankle was braced.
It's the same injury he had against Plymouth.
Fell on his ankle. He's hurt his ligaments badly, so we have to see. Oh, that's not good. Oh, no.
That's not good. But ankle is never too serious, so it should be okay. Although I say that with
his ligaments, it's bad.
Yeah, well, even ligaments on the ankle can be okay, but it varies. I guess Pulisic was really bad, so let's hope it's not too bad anyway. But on Saul, I just said I didn't really notice him, not in a good way, not in a bad way. Hence why I said 5.5.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree. I mean, the only time I did notice him was when he got into the box, and then Havertz had that like little push and shove with the goalie fell on him, and then that was quite a funny moment. The goalie pushed him, and then Havertz was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And Palmeiras had like 4 players around him. Like, I was waiting for Rudiger to see that and just sprint across the pitch, but towards the other side of the goal. But I mean, Saul wasn't like that involved. I go with your rating.
Fair. And Clutch, do you agree as well, or would you go lower?
Yeah, I'd probably say 5.5. He didn't really get involved as much. The only time I seen him was when him, Pulisic, and Havertz all went for one header on the goalie and clattered him over. So that's about the only time I really noticed him.
It's true. It's true. And then at the very end, or I say at the very end, at the start of extra time, both Hakim Ziyech and Malang Sarr came on. Ziyech for Kovacic. Again, we finally switched to a shape in which Kovacic could have been much more useful, and we take him off. Understandable also because obviously played a lot of football in the past week, but still, it's just could have made that sub earlier, that change of system earlier, because it would have benefited Kovacic, and Kovacic is, in terms of that, our best player. So should surely try to benefit our best players and not once that player is off. That makes no sense to me. But here we are. Ziyech, I thought same as Werner, roughly. I didn't agree with Price that he didn't really look positive or whatever. I thought he did. As soon as he came on, we started to have a bit of danger from crosses, which I know we scored from one, but that was the only dangerous cross we had essentially until Ziyech was on the pitch. Nearly got an assist for Kai in injury time in extra time already before the penalty, but the defender just about nicked it away in front of Kai's head. So I thought it was decent. Maybe I would even argue a 6.5, to be honest, over Timo, but I might be swayed to the 6. Clutch?
I'd probably go for the lower, probably a 6. I like Pius. I didn't think he was that positive. I thought he looked like he tried too hard at times and he was losing the ball a lot. Him and Pulisic had a go at each other, apparently, according to Matt Law, because of...
Oh, they did have a go, a big go. I could even see it on the side. They were like, everyone was like doing other things, and they were like standing in the middle of the pitch, like not shouting at each other, but aggressively speaking to each other. But do I think that's a big problem when you're in the final and it's 1-1 and we're not playing well? No. Have a go at each other, man. Have a go at each other. I'd much rather that than you accept the fact that we're shit. Do you know what I mean? So have all the goes you want. Do you know what I mean? In my books. Obviously, everyone has a different opinion on that. But to me, while we're not playing well, have a go at each other. It's absolutely fine. I
agree. It's fine. I don't think there's much in that. I'd kind of expect maybe temperatures to start flaring if you're not playing like you would expect yourself to be playing, but I don't think he was that positive, so I'd probably lean towards a 6 rather than a 6.5.
Okay. And then Pice, would you even go for the 6 or would you go lower?
What did I give Werner again? Did I give him a 6?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I'll give Ziyech a 5.5 because I thought Werner was more positive for me.
Well, obviously played much longer, but fair. Yeah, so I guess we sit on the 6 anyway, because I said obviously 6.5. You said the Clutch said 6 and you said 5.5. And Malang Sarr, other than his silly but funny long shot, which was probably one of the hardest shots I've seen Chelsea players have since Alex, the centre backs, played for us. So for that, he gets an NA. But I enjoyed watching it. But obviously he played the full extra time. But again, we were mostly attacking in that whole period, so I didn't really do you know what I mean? But does anybody disagree with the NA or? I take that.
No, I don't disagree.
Fair dues. Thomas Tuchel, Pice. Jeb gave him a 7. What would you go with?
This is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because I didn't agree with some of his subs. Or the one that got me really was the Werner one, because I said to you, like, we should have just kept Lukaku on, because we started especially if you plan to bring Ziyech on as well. Like Ziyech and Lukaku, there was a lot of crosses going into the box. That one didn't really make sense to me, but I mean, Saul as well, bit of a weird sub. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't expect him to come on. No Jorginho at all. I mean, hopefully that's just rest, because I would have thought he would have been one of the subs, especially having to take into consideration the possibility of penalties. I'll go with. Oh, I mean, this is so interesting because 6.5. I think might go for a 7, but I think 6.5.
Okay. Now, what I need to do right now is big thank you to you, Adam. That's mental. Appreciate that. $50 donation a lot. Saying, been meaning to do this. Really enjoy your content, Laurenz. Champions of the world. Cheers. Appreciate you very, very much, Adam. Big shout out to you. Big shout out to you. Yeah, beers on you for sure, man. Beers on you for sure. I didn't realize you now couldn't see the whole Tuchel thing because of the super chat. So let me get down because I feel like Adam's super chat is worth just staying on screen for a hot minute now. Clutch, what about you for Thomas Tuchel?
I mean, when he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. I do think the subs were a little bit late, and like I said, there were some weird subs. Why Werner came on for the person he came on for confuses me, but you know, I think it all in Jorginho saving that last sub, and you had to pick between Jorginho and Kepa really scared me as well. By the way, yeah, I'm gonna go 8. He's won how many trophies? 3 since he's been here in just over a year, and he just came back, joined the team last night.
His final record is getting better and better as well, because obviously he lost the FA Cup final, but the 3 since then he's won, so, you know, big up.
Yeah, as much as I don't agree with a lot of his decisions, Pulisic was a positive, somewhat. Werner was a positive, and we ended up pulling it out. I do think the longer conversation needs to be had about playing more consistently, because if we're going to go for trophies, scraping these wins needs to change, and we do need to play a bit more consistently, which means I think the back 3 needs to go. But for the moment, I'm going to enjoy the cup, and I'm just going to give him an 8.
Fair. I'm going to give him a 7, so we probably sit on the 7 in the end. But I'm going to give him the 7 purely on the fact that we won a trophy. If we didn't win a trophy today and this was a normal game and he did what he did, I would have gone like 5, maybe less. I can't lie, because I think the team was wrong. I think the game plan was wrong. I think the subs were wrong. Like, Pulisic worked out in the end, but can anyone tell me a logical explanation of why at that moment Pulisic made more sense than Hakim Ziyech, who played great the last 4 or 5 games in a row? To me, none. Other than if Ziyech was maybe a little bit injured, which Jem said he heard maybe Ziyech had a niggle, but I'm not sure if that's true. So all of those things make no sense to me. We also can't forget, please, ladies and gentlemen, until we just had our 2-week break, the excuse we gave Tuchel for everything is that our players are tired. Now we had a 2-week break and we're still shit. So what's the excuse now? I'm not saying I'm not trying to have a go at Tuchel, but the tiredness excuse doesn't go anymore now because we just had have 2 weeks off, right? So we were still shit against Plymouth. We were still shit against Al Hilal, and I still believe we were shit today. I don't understand how we ended up with such high ratings. I think, to be honest, I think no one should even be higher than a 6 if I'm honest. I think they were all awful. But yeah, like we had 2 weeks off and nothing happened. Like nothing improved, nothing. Like no one is fresh. If anything, we look way more tired. Is that necessarily Tuchel's fault? No. But what I'm saying is maybe we shouldn't have given the whole situation as much leeway 2 weeks ago for tiredness, because whether we're tired or not, we're bad. So he needs to figure something out that fixes this. Number 1, stop the back 3 until we have Chile and Reece James back. Just stop it. Go away with it. Like, it just does not work. Like, every time we've tried it, it was awful. I'm not saying we lost every time, but we need to play, like, for the harmony in the fans, in the squad, in the like everywhere. We need to also play acceptably well. We can't win on penalty, like in extra time with a late penalty saved against Plymouth. We can't need a pretty fortunate penalty against Palmeiras to win a cup. We can't, like in the last game, need the opponent to head it to our striker in the 6-yard box to score. That's not good enough. Like, against the level of oppositions we just played. A League One side, a team from Saudi Arabia, and a team from Brazil. There isn't even Brazilian champion. Yeah, I know they won Copa Libertadores. I guess we didn't win the Premier League either. But still, like, we need to be better. And he needs to figure out a way to make us better. I don't know what that way is, but I'm not the guy that's being paid for it. So he needs to figure out, and it needs to be better. But we still won a cup, and we're still champions of the world. So we're going to end it on some hype, on some positivity, because we're champions of the world. And I want to shout out 2 people in particular. Number 1, Cesar Azpilicueta. Obviously, we touched on it already before, but the man has now won every single trophy he's ever competed for at Chelsea Football Club. Obviously, someone replied to me on Twitter, well, he hasn't won the Conference League, which is true. To be fair, that does exist, but obviously we haven't played in it. And we also didn't win the Championship and League One and League Two. So, like, where do you draw the line, I suppose? So he's won every trophy, literally every single trophy. And that, like, not even John Terry and Frank Lampard have managed that. So big credit to Cesar Azpilicueta. Also, what is that? Mount's ankle is in a brace. Crutches, not good. All right. Brilliant. Cheers, mate. Cheers for that. Downer at the end of that. Who else did I want to shout out? I wanted to shout out somebody else. Who was that then? You would think I would remember who I want to give a shout out. Which player? You'd think I would remember, but I don't.
Alonso for not playing.
No, not even Alonso for not playing.
Alonso, he's nearly won everything.
True. No, it's not. It wasn't even about winning everything. Laurenz live is a 10 today. Big up Hamza. So shout out Hamza. Come on. No, just
Kepa.
loss.
Kepa for not dealing with it. Well, I mean, we're dealing with it well, I guess.
So. No, but I'm just gonna shout out us because, like, not
Thiago Silva for winning all those.
No. Just as in the club. We're finally champions of the world. Like, big up for us, for being part of it, but it's been a long road. Like, if you think about the last 10 years, it hasn't always, like, we've always been successful, and we are magic compared to every other club at winning things when we shouldn't win things. That doesn't include Champions League, but FA Cup we won under Conte. How on earth did we win a trophy in that season? How we played these last 2 games. Somehow we scraped the trophy right now. We could win the League Cup in a couple of weeks' time. We're great at, like, we're absolutely phenomenal. But it wasn't all fun and games between 2012 and today. Like, the amount of managers we've gone through, the amount of, like, Jose Mourinho, we were 1 point before, like, ahead of relegation zone. And, like, I'm not sure about you guys, but when we got Jose back, I was like, if we ever stand a chance of doing anything remotely close to what now I suppose Pep is doing at City and Klopp is doing at Liverpool, or what Wenger and Ferguson did at Arsenal and United respectively, it was Jose. But him we had to sack. But in the end, it wasn't the one-off, that Champions League final in 2012 and the Champions League win and making it to the Club World Cup, because that was kind of the fear at the time, because we won the Champions League final 2012, but it was like at the very, very end of that whole dynasty that we had in that from the mid-2000s until basically then. And it wasn't easy, but in the end, we got there 10 years later, and we did it. And I'm incredibly pleased about that. No matter how much I was critical of individual players today, no matter how much I was critical of maybe Thomas Tuchel or whatever, I'm just incredibly pleased that we won this. Honestly, it's weird. Like, it always sounds like, oh, cringy or whatever. No, it's just, yeah, it's good. I'm very, 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 very happy. Fantasy PJ Dore saying Lukaku for his conduct. Yeah, you know what? Shout out to Lukaku. At least he's for once finally doing what we actually paid money for. So, that's great. And just big shout out to Kai Havertz. That was probably it. That's what I wanted to say. Big shout out to Kai Havertz. It's not easy. Like, the commentator of my game was talking about, not that I didn't know it. Oh, just cut wonderful wound open. Don't demonetize me, YouTube. But anyway, he was talking about when Kai Havertz explained his Champions League final goal. He was like, in the process of running at Edison, he was like, I can't miss this. If I miss this, I'll be ridiculed for the rest of my life, essentially, if we don't win the game as well. And today is a similar situation. Like, if in the 117th minute, Chelsea has a penalty against Palmeiras, and he misses and we end up losing that game, you know how much stick and ridicule and criticism and abuse and all sorts of things he would get. So big up to him. Like, the guy's young, and the guy is, in my opinion, underappreciated, unfortunately, also by our manager a little bit. I think, like, we focus our team so much on certain players that, in my opinion, don't warrant being focused on. And he, in my opinion, is one of the few that has the talent to warrant that. And we're not doing it. So, big shout out for, you never see Kai Havertz in any media. Like, Kai Havertz is a big star in Germany. Like, don't forget that, big star. You don't see any German interviews where Kai Havertz complains about anything. Never. It's just not a thing. And I appreciate him for that. Honestly, I appreciate him for that. Almost as much as I appreciate all of you guys watching today. We've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes, basically, exactly. And we still have over 200 people watching. So I appreciate every single one of you very, very much. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. Would, mean the world. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. Every new subscriber counts. So hit that big red subscribe button, smash the like button as well, although you've done really well on that today already. So big up yourself. Big shout out to Clutch and Pies, and of course Jem as well. Check out Clutch on Twitter, link is down in the description. Check out Pies' website, Chelsea365, but again, link is also down in the description. And of course, check out Jem's channel on YouTube, which is GNA TV. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're gonna leave it here. But yeah, Now I remember what I actually wanted to shout out. Thank you, Clutch, for what you put in the private chat. Mendy. Because, and I mentioned that before, Mendy is currently reigning champion of Europe, champion of Africa, and champion of the world. How many people in history of this planet have existed that were champions of those three things at once? So big up him. Big up Edouard Mendy. What a guy, what a story. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button. But yeah, champions of the world. Thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and upwards. And we'll see you next time.